My wife is a beautiful CEO. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 901 Yu Heng Debt Collection. Both parties were very happy when Su Chen came to the Dark Guard. Su Chen got the information he wanted. The Dark Guard got 3 chances to make a move from Su Chen. Originally, as a consultant of the Tiger Guard, Su Chen didn't need to do so. But the rules of the Dark Guard have always been like this, and Su Chen didn't want to make an exception. Moreover, Su Chen, who didn't like to owe favors, would feel more at ease this way. Advisor Su, if there is nothing else, I will leave first. However, I suggest that Advisor Su play for a while before leaving. Lingshan said. Letting Su Chen play for a while is also a way to cover up his tracks. Okay. Su Chen naturally didn't refuse. Lingshan turned around and left slowly. Su Chen sat on the sofa and thought secretly. Although it was urgent to find Zhou Wanqiu's whereabouts, he really had no other way. If the Dark Guard could find it, it would be better. If even the Dark Guard couldn't find it, then he could only take risks. Of course, whether the Dark Guard found Zhou Wanqiu or Su Chen took the risk to challenge the Liu family directly, they needed sufficient strength to support it. Therefore, the most urgent thing is to get the treasures of water and earth attributes first. After the spirit god left, several fashionable girls walked in from outside the private room. Each of them was wearing a hip skirt with a graceful figure, and each of them was ready to be picked. However, Su Chen had seen all kinds of beauties. For him, such a vulgar woman with such a beautiful appearance was not tempting at all. However, he kept in mind the instructions of the spirit god, perfunctorily left a few princesses, and drank some wine casually. After about an hour, Su Chen called the waiter to settle the bill. He was about to yawn. It's not that the princess is not good looking, but that Su Chen's vision is too picky. Kinyao Iao, Zhou Wanqiu and other beauties, who is not a natural beauty? Su Chen was not interested, and soon returned to Cheng's villa from Jinhao Club. However, when Su Chen was about to enter the room, he met another superb beauty. Chen, I've been looking for you for a long time. A pleasant voice came. It was none other than Cheng Yuheng. At this time, Cheng Yuheng's pretty face was full of resentment. Her cherry lips were pouting, which made people feel pity. Yuheng, is there anything wrong? Su Chen smiled and approached Cheng Yuheng. Humph, bad guy. Cheng Yuheng turned his head and pouted again, saying, Chen is a bad guy. Chen is a big liar. Yuheng, how did I lie to you? Su Chen patiently straightened Cheng Yuheng's clothes. Chen said he would take Yuheng to eat delicious food, and he said it several times, but he never went once. Chen is a big liar. Cheng Yuheng felt more and more aggrieved, and his mouth was pouting high. Su Chen looked at him and felt a little embarrassed. Indeed, he promised Cheng Yuheng several times, but in the end he was delayed by various things. Su Chen thought for a while and said, tomorrow. How about going tomorrow? If you don't believe it, how about we make a promise? Su Chen's eyes were soft. Su Chen felt guilty for disappointing Cheng Yuheng, who trusted him so much. Okay. Cheng Yuheng nodded obediently. She stretched out her finger. Pin it up, and don't change it for 100 years. Pin it up, and don't change it for 100 years. Su Chen smiled and cooperated. He played with Cheng Yuheng for a while, before returning to the room. Back in the room, Su Chen circulated the Zhengjin evil spirit several times to deepen his familiarity. After practicing for a few weeks, Su Chen slowly lay down, with a lot of thoughts in his mind. Cheng Yuheng's matter was easy to deal with. It was just taking her to eat something delicious. But there was no news from Zhou Wanqiu, and even the tracking talisman and divination could not track Zhou Wanqiu's whereabouts. This made Su Chen very worried. Although the divination said that Zhou Wanqiu would not be harmed in the near future, Su Chen was still worried. After all, he was a little careless, so the Liu family took advantage of it. Even if he had asked the secret guards to take action, Su Chen was still not very sure. The strength of the secret guards is not weak, but the power of the Liu family is also extraordinary. Can the secret guards really find out where they took Zhou Wanqiu? Unconsciously, Su Chen fell into a deep sleep in conflicting emotions. Steady and long breathing, the night seemed very quiet. The next morning, a ray of setting sun shone into the room where Su Chen was. And Su Chen, who was on the bed, was sleeping soundly at this time. Speaking of it, when you reach a level like Su Chen, sleep is actually irrelevant. After practicing for a night, you will be more energetic the next day. But Su Chen has been fighting a series of battles recently, which can be said to be mentally and physically exhausted. Because of this, Su Chen slept particularly deeply. He couldn't even remember how long he hadn't slept like this. Chen, I'm here to play with you. Let's go eat. A crisp voice sounded outside the door. It was the princess of the Cheng family, Chen Yuheng. However, there was also a soundproof magic array in Su Chen's room. If the array was not triggered, Su Chen would not be disturbed. At this time, Su Chen also fell into a deep sleep and was difficult to wake up. Chen Yuheng called out again and again, but there was no response. Chen, you big liar, open the door quickly. Chen Yuheng's voice sounded again. Unfortunately, the house was still silent. At this moment, a hearty voice sounded. Yuheng, what are you doing here? It was Cheng Xianzhen. Stinky uncle, you are here. Chen won't play with me. Chen is annoying. Chen Yuheng looked aggrieved. Yuheng, good boy, Uncle Qi will play with you, okay? Cheng Xianzhen looked at Chen Yuheng, who was pouting with a flattering face. However, Chen Yuheng turned his head immediately. No, uncle is bad. Bad uncle, stinky uncle, I want to play with Chen. Chen Yuheng's face was full of arrogance. She looked at Cheng Xianzhen with disgust. Cheng Xianzhen's mouth twitched. The flattering smile on his face froze instantly. It was not until almost noon that Su Chen woke up slowly. He removed the magic circle and finally heard some noise outside the door. Chen, if you ignore me again, I will be angry. Chen Yuheng's voice sounded again. Chen Yuheng? Su Chen was startled. He patted his head. He just wanted to have a good rest. As a result, he almost forgot about this woman. The third update is here. Good night everyone. Thank you for your support. Chapter 902, Unexpected Gains. Su Chen pushed the door open and went out. Sure enough, Chen Yuheng, who looked dissatisfied, was outside the door. At this time, Chen Yuheng was wearing a light yellow shirt and a white skirt, and her fair skin looked even more pretty and bright. Coupled with her breathtakingly beautiful and perfect facial features, the whole person was like a fairy on earth. However, her cute and angry expression was slightly in conflict with her pure and unworldly temperament. But it seems that she has another kind of attraction. Seeing Su Chen open the door, Chen Yuheng glanced at him, then turned his head away. Chen, I'm ignoring you. Chen Yuheng raised his little mouth, looking like an unhappy baby. Su Chen was a little embarrassed and comforted. Yuheng, don't you want to eat delicious food? I'll take you to eat now, okay? Really? Chen Yuheng turned his head in surprise. She stared at Su Chen closely and said dissatisfiedly, Chen, you told me several times, but you didn't take me. Su Chen apologized quickly. I apologize to you. Before, there were accidents, so I was delayed. This time, I will definitely not lie to you. Let's go now. I'll let you eat enough, okay? Su Chen said with a smile. Chen Yuheng's beautiful eyes suddenly lit up. She nodded repeatedly. Yes. Let's go now. As she spoke, Chen Yuheng stepped forward and grabbed Su Chen's hand. Crossing his fingers, Su Chen was startled. Then, he felt a little hand in his hand. Soft, tender, smooth. This was Su Chen's most intuitive feeling. Let's go. Chen, let's go eat delicious food. Chen Yuheng smiled like a flower and pulled Su Chen outside with excitement. Smelling the faint fragrance beside him and feeling the soft and tender hand in his hand, even Su Chen couldn't help feeling a little strange in his heart. Soon, Chen Yuheng took Su Chen out. In the courtyard, only Cheng Xianzhen was left, watching the two leave. Su Chen, although you are my elder brother, I will never forgive you. It hurts me. Cheng Xianzhen wailed in his heart. He said so many good things, but his beloved niece Yuheng ignored him. Su Chen, on the other hand, coaxed Chen Yuheng so well with just a few words. In particular, when he watched Su Chen leave holding Chen Yuheng's hand, Cheng Xianzhen felt even more abandoned. my beloved niece. Looking at the backs of the two people walking farther and farther away, Cheng Xianxin looked up at the sky. He stubbornly controlled himself and didn't let the sour tears roll down. Soon, Su Chen and Cheng Yuheng arrived at the food street in the provincial capital. At this moment, Cheng Yuheng was like a happy elf, jumping around in front of various stalls. She looked back from time to time to share her joy and discovery with Su Chen. Her beautiful appearance attracted many passers-by to turn their heads. Many men looked at Su Chen with jealousy and envy. Su Chen didn't care and followed Cheng Yuheng calmly. The secret guards were already checking the news about Zhou Wanqiu. Su Chen couldn't be anxious and could only wait patiently for the news. Fortunately, Su Chen determined Zhou Wanqiu's fortune through divination and knew that she would not be hurt in the short term and would live a good life. Although he didn't know why this happened, it finally made him feel relieved. Shaking his head, Su Chen continued to look at Cheng Yuheng. Chen, this. I want to eat this. Chen, this too. Along the way, Cheng Yuheng seemed very lively. She held colorful cotton candy in one hand and milk tea in the other. Su Chen followed behind her obediently, holding Cheng Yuheng's other snacks in his hand, and then paid for Cheng Yuheng one by one. Although Cheng Yuheng bought a lot of things, Su Chen didn't worry that she would get a stomachache. With Cheng Yuheng's physical condition, even ordinary poisons may have no effect on her. Of course, there are also some black-hearted bosses who want to trick Cheng Yuheng into buying some food. Unfortunately, although Cheng Yuheng has lost her memory and has a childlike mind, her taste is very picky. The little princess who grew up in the Cheng family has eaten all kinds of delicacies from mountains and seas. Only some roadside stalls that are really good are a little tempting to her. The two of them ate and drank and walked around the food street. After eating, Cheng Yuheng dragged Su Chen to accompany her to the amusement park for a long time. Su Chen wanted to refuse, but Cheng Yuheng pretended to be about to cry. In desperation, Su Chen had to play with her for another afternoon. The smile on Cheng Yuheng's face never disappeared. He hugged Su Chen's arm and hugged him tighter. After coming out of the amusement park, Cheng Yuheng set his eyes on the barbecue stall again. Chen, it smells so good. There must be a lot of delicious food over there. Cheng Yuheng seemed extremely excited, his eyes shining. Okay, let's go and have a look. Su Chen nodded with a smile. Since he had been playing with Cheng Yuheng for a long time, he might as well be a good person to the end. Su Chen pulled Cheng Yuheng and found a cleaner place to sit down. This, and this. Cheng Yuheng stretched out his delicate hand and randomly clicked on the menu. He ordered almost every dish. Su Chen didn't say anything, but just checked all the dishes Cheng Yuheng ordered. Then, he handed the menu to the stall owner and said, all of these, 2 servings. For Su Chen now, this amount of money is probably not even a drop in the bucket. Okay, brother. Seeing such a big customer, the barbecue stall owner seemed very excited. Although his barbecue stall business is good, not every customer can order dishes like Su Chen without any scruples. Even if someone occasionally splurges, they will more or less consider their wallet. But Su Chen is different. Cheng Yuheng didn't even look at the price when ordering dishes. As long as he liked it, he would order it. She ordered a lot of seafood that usually not many people order. In this situation, the stall owner was naturally excited. Cheng Yuheng put his arm around Su Chen and said with a smile, Chen, you are so nice. Su Chen smiled. Cheng Yuheng is indeed a childish person. He was scolding himself for being bad before, but now he has become a good person. Su Chen chatted with Cheng Yuheng casually while looking at the atmosphere of life around him. Although the recent series of battles did not cause any danger, it also made Su Chen's nerves tense. Otherwise, he would not have slept so deeply today. Now looking at the atmosphere of fireworks in this world is also a kind of relaxation for Su Chen. Su Chen leaned back, half lying on the back of the chair, relaxing his mind. The noisy sounds around him reached Su Chen's ears. Suddenly, Su Chen's eyes opened suddenly, because he heard 4 words in the noise of the people around him. Shangjing Liu family. First update. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 903 Hot News. Liu family of Shangjing? Su Chen was stunned. Then, he sat up straight and looked around. Soon, he found that there were two middle-aged men drinking at the wine table not far away. The two people who mentioned Liu family of Shangjing just now were these two people. One of them was thin and the other was slightly fat. These two people were actually warriors, and they were both dark energy martial artists. The fat guy was only in the middle stage of dark energy. But the skinny guy was already in the late stage of dark energy, and had a good chance of breaking through the mysterious energy. The fat man asked, "Brother Li Long, you are doing very well in Shangjing. Why did you suddenly return to Dongzhou?" The thin man picked up the wine glass, took a sip, and said, "Brother Liu, I came back this time for a mission." Liu's eyes lit up. "Brother Long, I heard that you joined a big family in Shangjing. So, you are carrying out a mission for that big family. Have you become a senior member of the big family in Shangjing?" Hearing this, a hint of pride flashed across the face of the thin man Li Long. But he still waved his hand and said, "You can't say that. The big families in Shangjing are full of masters. Even the Wanqiu master is only at the middle level. I just have decent talent and some training value. So I was appreciated by the big figures in the family and brought out to accumulate some merits." Liu said with envy, "Brother Long, you are so amazing. So, won't you be able to advance to Zhuanjin soon in the future?" Li Long nodded with a proud look on his face. "If you don't return to your hometown when you are rich, it's like walking in the night in brocade clothes." If he doesn't show off in front of his old friends after achieving some success in Shangjing, he will feel uncomfortable all over. Then, Liu asked curiously, "Brother Long, what mission are you carrying out this time? You are a master who is about to become a master of Zhuanjin, and you are just running errands." Li Long looked around and lowered his voice and said, "Brother, I'm just telling you, don't leak it. Brother Long, don't you trust me?" Liu smiled and said, "Don't worry, I promise to keep it a secret." "Brother, have you heard of the Liu family in Shangjing?" Li Long had a mysterious look on his face and his voice was lowered to a level that was barely noticeable. "The Liu family?" Liu's eyes widened, and he said, "Brother Long, is it the great family with three outstanding people, the Shangjing Liu family?" Li Long raised his eyebrows and said, "Oh. Brother, I can't tell. You actually know the Shangjing Liu family?" Liu smiled honestly and said, "Brother Long, I only know a little about it because I heard people bragging. Could it be that you are now a guest of the Liu family?" Li Long said proudly, "Although I can't be considered a guest, it's almost the same. Anyway, I'm working for the Liu family. This time, I'm carrying out a big task for the Liu family." Liu also subconsciously lowered his voice. "Brother Long, please tell me in detail." He was also worried that someone would hear this big secret. However, the two people who were whispering and conspiring had no idea that there was a loyal listener a few dozen meters away from them. It was Su Chen. At first, Su Chen was not interested in the topic of the dragon and tiger duo. However, after hearing about the Shangjing Liu family, he became curious. No other reason. Now, the Liu family is the big enemy that Su Chen is about to face. If he could hear some inside stories of the Liu family in advance, it would be a waste of money. Even if he didn't hear any inside stories, it didn't matter if he just listened for fun. Anyway, he was here to play with Cheng Yuheng. Su Chen just listened quietly. In order not to miss the key points, he even separated a wisp of mental power and attached it to the two people. "Boss, this is your grilled chicken wings." The owner of the barbecue stall brought a large plate of chicken wings, and the aroma was fragrant. "Chen, you eat too." Cheng Yuheng held a chicken wing in one hand and a milk tea in the other, eating with oil dripping from her mouth. Such a beautiful woman, eating like this, is old and cold, adding a touch of fireworks. While Su Chen was listening to the secret of the Liu family in Shangjing, he took a tissue to wipe her mouth. The guests at other tables around secretly glanced over from time to time and looked at Cheng Yuheng, the superb beauty. As for Cheng Yuheng, she was wholeheartedly eating barbecue. Everyone was busy with their own things, and Li Long continued to brag with Liu. When he was in Beijing, Li Long had more treatment and opportunities than in Dongzhou. But in terms of status, he was like an ant. Now that he is back in Dongzhou, he naturally has to show off when he sees acquaintances. Ahoo, do you know about natural treasures? Li Long was mysterious, as if he was afraid that someone would eavesdrop. Natural treasures? Liu who was shocked. Are they the kind of treasures that only Zhuanjin masters are qualified to enjoy? Sure enough, Liu who was curious about this topic. Yes. Li Long nodded. However, the natural treasures that Zhuanjin masters can use can only be said to be average. The real amazing natural treasures Zhuanjin masters are not qualified to use. Suddenly, Liu who seemed to realize something. He widened his eyes and asked, Brother Long, your mission this time will not be related to natural treasures, right? Li Long did not answer. He picked up the wine glass, took a sip of wine, and nodded slightly. Liu who was shocked. He hurriedly urged, Brother Long, please tell me in detail. Li Long smiled and lowered his voice. Let me tell you, Brother Long, the mission I'm on this time is not about ordinary natural treasures, but treasures that can be used by land immortals. What? Hearing this, Liu whose eyes widened like copper bells. Land immortals. Shh, keep your voice down. Li Long reminded. Then, he continued to lower his voice and said, and, let me tell you, this natural treasure has special properties, and can be combined with yuan qi. Hiss. Hearing this, Liu who couldn't sit still at all. If you refine a natural treasure with special properties, you can add properties to the warrior's yuan qi, so that your strength will increase dramatically. How is it? This secret is powerful enough, right? Li Long had a smug expression on his face. He was quite satisfied with Liu who's reaction. Long, Brother Long, what kind of treasure is that? Liu who felt like 10,000 cats were scratching in his heart. Brother Long said in a deep voice, I heard that it seems to be a water attributed treasure, called something like deep sea electric eel gallbladder. Swoosh. Su Chen stood up directly. Chapter 904 Spiritual Mark. Su Chen stood up suddenly. Chen Yuheng held a grilled lamb skewer in one hand and a grilled chicken wing in the other, and looked at Su Chen with a confused look on his face. Chen, what's wrong with you? Su Chen was startled. He sat down quickly and smiled at Chen Yuheng. I'm fine. Stand up and stretch your body. Chen Yuheng chuckled. Chen, you're so funny. Su Chen was speechless and didn't know what to explain. He sat down quickly and turned his attention to Li Long and Liu who again. Deep sea electric eel gallbladder? Liu who was puzzled. What kind of treasure is this? I don't think I've heard of it. Li Long smiled. You've never been out of Dongzhou province, so you naturally don't know anything. I tell you, this deep sea electric eel gallbladder is a water attributed treasure. If a warrior can absorb it, it will not only increase the speed of cultivation, but also cultivate water attributed vitality, which can be said to be a step to heaven. Hearing this, Liu who was immediately excited and asked, Brother Long, this treasure is not in your hands, right? Then Brother Long, aren't you rich? Li Long smiled mysteriously. This ambiguous attitude made Liu who more and more confused about the truth. However, although Liu who was shocked, he still had some doubts. He didn't know whether Li Long was bragging to him. The most shocked person was Su Chen who was eavesdropping dozens of meters away. Hearing about the deep sea electric eel gallbladder such a treasure, most people would probably just laugh it off and think that Brother Long was just bragging. But Su Chen is different. Last night, he had just been to the secret guards of the Tiger Guards in Dongzhou province. From the mysterious spirit god, Su Chen had learned that the Liu family did have water attributed treasures. One of them was a deep sea electric eel gallbladder. And now, less than a day had passed, and Su Chen heard the words deep sea electric eel gallbladder again. More importantly, this Li Long happened to be from the Liu family in Shangjing. This further proved the accuracy of the news. How could Su Chen not be excited? This surprise was really too big. Originally, he just wanted to repay Chen Yuheng's debt, but by chance, he heard the information about the deep sea electric eel gallbladder. If Su Chen could really get the deep sea electric eel gallbladder, there would be a great probability that he could condense the water attributed vitality. In this way, he only lacked the earth attributed vitality of the 5 element. When Su Chen went to Jiangnan province again, he obtained the 5-colored spirit stone and condensed the earth attributed vitality. By then, Su Chen's 5 element of vitality would gather together and his strength would increase greatly. Under the 5 key, Su Chen would have the opportunity to break through the vitality martial god. Even, he became the best among the strong men in the god realm. By then, even the Liu family in Shangjing would be dead by Su Chen. Su Chen concentrated his mental power and listened to the conversation between the two. Brother Long, tell me more. Liu who felt like a cat was tickling him. Brother, it's not good to know too much. Brother Long shook his head. Liu who shut up immediately and didn't continue to ask questions. However, although Liu who didn't continue to ask, his curiosity didn't subside. Waiter, another dozen beers. My big brother likes it. Liu who called. Okay. The waiter responded. Soon, someone brought another dozen bottles of wine. Seeing this scene, Su Chen smiled. Obviously, Liu who might have a bad idea in his mind. Come on. Big brother. Drink. From now on, I will rely on your support and care. Liu who persuaded him to drink 1 cup after another. There was a greedy light in his eyes. That's right. How could Liu who not be tempted by such a natural treasure? Although, he is only a dark force martial artist now. But who stipulates that dark force martial artists cannot have great ambitions? If he can get the deep sea electric eel gall, Liu who can find a Yuan-Ki master or a strong man in the divine realm to exchange it. If the other party is happy, he can get any cultivation resources. By then, won't his strength increase? Even if he can't exchange for resources, when his realm reaches the Zhuanjin master, he can also choose to refine it himself. At that time, maybe he can use the cultivation of the Zhuanjin master, or he can fight against ordinary Yuan-Ki masters. If that day really comes, Brother Long is nothing. Even if his parents come, he can still sell it out. Thinking of this, Liu whose eyes became hot, and he wanted to get the deep sea electric eel gall immediately. Su Chen couldn't help, but shook his head secretly. It seems that Li Long is also not careful in making friends. Of course, the deep sea electric eel gall is a good thing. But brotherhood is sometimes more precious than it. Liu who urged Li Long to drink 1 cup after another, but Li Long didn't notice Liu who's little thoughts, and drank 1 cup after another. However, this barbecue stall is full of beer. For a martial artist like Li Long who is at the peak of dark energy, this is better than drinking water. After 10 bottles of beer, Li Long's face was just a little red and his mind was still relatively clear. Liu who was anxious while toasting. Finally, they finished the meal, and Li Long was just a little dizzy, and nothing else happened. Brother, I'm very happy with this meal. In the future, when you come to Beijing, I will protect you. Li Long blushed and burped. Liu who forced a smile on his face. He said, thank you, Brother Long. But, Brother Long, don't leave in a hurry. There is a newly opened Heoju KTV nearby, and the beauties inside are very attractive. Since you have come back to the provincial capital to see me, my brother, I must make sure you have a good time. Eat, drink and have fun. Li Long's eyes lit up. Okay. You are indeed my good brother. Immediately, the two of them walked towards the Heoju KTV not far away. Su Chen smiled. It seems that this Liu who still doesn't want to give up. Su Chen is not in a hurry. He moved his mind and secretly left a spiritual mark on Li Long. Chen, you eat. Chen Yuheng smiled and handed over a string of garlic meat. She was already eating with oil dripping from her mouth. Thank you Yuheng. Su Chen smiled and nodded. Now, his mood has become much better because of Brother Long. You're welcome, you're welcome. Chen Yuheng waved his hand generously. Su Chen smiled and said, Yuheng, you eat first. I'll go make a phone call. Yeah. Chen Yuheng nodded. Remember to come back soon. Otherwise, the skewers will get cold. Su Chen smiled and stood up and walked to the side. Then, he made a call. Soon. An excited voice came from the other end. The third update is here. Good night everyone. I will try to update 4 or more tomorrow. Thank you for your support. Chapter 905. Threat removed. Su Chen dispersed a trace of mental power and followed the two people into Heoju KTV. Then, Su Chen greeted Chen Yuheng, then stood up with his mobile phone and walked to the side, dialing a number. Hello. Mr. Su, are you okay? Soon, Sun Zheoxin's excited voice came over. I heard that you seemed to have a big fight with someone in Kingsang Mountain. There seems to be a lot of movement in the Bei family, Ran family, and Zhu family. I have been worried, but I was afraid of disturbing you, so I didn't dare to call you. Su Chen smiled. This underground leader in the provincial capital also has extraordinary information channels. However, it is normal to think about it. The battle in Kingsang Mountain was so loud that it attracted the attention of the outside world. Su Chen smiled. Don't worry. I'm fine. Sun Zheoxin was relieved immediately. Since he rebelled against Jinglin Villa, he has lived under the protection of Su Chen. If something happened to Su Chen, Sun Zheoxin could only run away with his wife Zhu Qinglian. Not only him, but also Tan Yangshan and his daughter and Chen Shuxing need to do the same. Mr. Su, I heard that it seems that the people from Jinglin Villa also went to Kingsang Mountain. I wonder if they... Sun Zheoxin asked cautiously. Su Chen said lightly, Mr. Sun, you can rest assured in the future. Among the senior executives of Jinglin Villa, the innate realm masters are either dead or captured. The 4 venerables in the east, west, south, and north are all dead, and the owner of the villa escaped with serious injuries. The entire Jinglin Villa is completely finished. In the future, no one from Jinglin Villa will come to trouble you. Sun Zheoxin was ecstatic when he heard this. Before, although he successfully became the underground leader of the provincial capital with the support of Jinglin Villa, but in fact, he was just treated as a dog. Come when called, go when waved. Yang Xinsheng, a senior executive of Jinglin Villa, even asked Sun Zheoxin to send his wife Zhu Qinglian to his bed. After being rejected by Sun Zheoxin, he even sent Lu Qianli to kill Sun Zheoxin. If Su Chen hadn't helped, Sun Zheoxin would have passed the 7th day of his death. Later, Sun Zheoxin joined Su Chen, and Su Chen arranged for Tan Yangshan, who had also defected from Jinglin Villa, to protect him. However, the existence of Jinglin Villa has always been the sword of Damocles hanging over Sun Zheoxin's head, and now, this threat has finally disappeared completely. Sun Zheoxin had the urge to cry with joy. If he hadn't been on the phone with Su Chen, he would have wanted to yell twice to vent his excitement. Mr. Su, thank you, thank you. Sun Zheoxin thanked him again and again. Su Chen smiled. You're welcome. I called you this time because I need your help with something. Sun Zheoxin quickly restrained his expression and said respectfully, just tell me what you have planned. Su Chen said, Heoju KTV, is it your property? Sun Zheoxin nodded, yes. Su Chen continued, please keep an eye on 2 people for me. They just walked into Heoju KTV. These are 2 men. The fatter one is called Liu Hu and the thinner one is called Li Long. Just keep an eye on them for me. I'll go find them later. These 2 people are dark force martial artists. You guys pay attention and don't get caught. Sun Zheoxin immediately agreed. Mr. Su, don't worry. I promise there will be no problem. Yes. Su Chen nodded and hung up the phone. On the other side, Sun Zheoxin hung up the phone with a dazed expression. He still needs time to digest the news of the destruction of Jinglin Villa. After all, not long ago, Jinglin Villa was the most powerful force in the entire Dongzhou province. And now, it just disappeared. On the side, Zhu Qinglian, his wife, looked at Sun Zheoxin with some doubt. She stretched out her hand and waved in front of Sun Zheoxin. Hey, why did you become stupid? After answering the phone, Sun Zheoxin came back to his senses. He rushed forward, picked up Zhu Qinglian, and turned around twice while shouting, are you crazy? Zhu Qinglian was suddenly startled by Sun Zheoxin's action. Sun Zheoxin put Zhu Qinglian down and quickly told Zhu Qinglian the news of the destruction of Jinglin Villa. You say it's true? Zhu Qinglian was stunned on the spot, her eyes instantly red. She has always been worried, fearing that Yang Xinsheng would move another powerful god-level person to Jinglin Villa. Now, she can finally put down this big stone. Sun Zheoxin nodded. Mr. Su told me in person. It must be him who destroyed Jinglin Villa. The couple hugged each other tightly and shouted excitedly. After a long time, Su Qinglian finally pushed Sun Zhaoxian away and said, "Mr. Sun, you must work hard for Mr. Su in the future. If you dare to have any other thoughts, I will not forgive you." "How dare I?" Sun Zhaoxian scratched his head. At this moment, he suddenly slapped his head. "Mr. Su has arranged for me to do something. I have to do it quickly." "Yeah." Su Qinglian nodded. "You go quickly. By the way, don't forget to tell Mr. Tan and Mr. Chen this good news later. If they know this news, they will definitely be very happy." Sun Zhaoxian nodded. "Yeah." Then he picked up his mobile phone and ran outside. On the other side, after Su Chen hung up the phone, he also walked back to the barbecue stall. However, before Su Chen returned to the table, he saw a scene that made him furious. In front of the table of Su Chen and Cheng Yuheng, in addition to Cheng Yuheng, there was a man wearing gold-rimmed glasses. At this time, he was constantly pestering Cheng Yuheng. He even stretched out his hand to Cheng Yuheng. The first update is here. Chapter 906, Being a Female Star. This beautiful lady, let me introduce myself. My name is Wang Changfei, and I'm a talent scout. I've been paying attention to you for a long time. With your looks and temperament, you have great potential to become an entertainment star. If you are willing to sign with our company, I promise to make you famous quickly and become a top female star within a year. Wang Changfei sat at Su Chen's table and spoke eloquently. Under the lens, his pair of slender eyes stared at Cheng Yuheng. Looking at the breathtaking face, Wang Changfei swallowed his saliva without leaving a trace. Just now, he passed by this barbecue stall. Suddenly seeing Cheng Yuheng, he was instantly shocked. Wang Changfei dared to swear that he had never met such a beautiful woman. If she was brought to the entertainment industry to debut, there was a great probability that she would become popular. Even if she was not brought to debut, this top-notch woman could be presented to big shots in exchange for considerable benefits. Because of this, when he saw that there was no one around Cheng Yuheng, he came up to her as soon as possible. Cheng Yuheng was also a little confused when she saw the strange man who suddenly appeared. She didn't understand what Wang Changfei meant by the top female star. "What is a female star?" Cheng Yuheng asked while eating skewers, tilting his head. This cute look makes people's hearts beat suddenly. Wang Changfei was stunned. He suddenly realized that this incredibly beautiful woman in front of him seemed to have some problems with her brain. The next moment, Wang Changfei was ecstatic. Wouldn't it be easier to control a beautiful woman with a poor brain? Cheng Yuheng narrowed his eyes and asked, "If you become a female star, will Chen like to play with me more?" "Chen?" Wang Changfei was stunned. Then, he showed a hypocritical smile and said, "Of course. As long as you become a female star, you will be liked by all men. By then, Chen will definitely pester you to play every day." Although Wang Changfei didn't know who Chen was at all, but it didn't affect him at all. He could still make up stories. Cheng Yuheng was overjoyed. She quickly put down the skewers and looked at Wang Changfei with eagerness. "I want to be a female star. I want Chen to play with me every day." Wang Changfei's face suddenly showed a proud smile. "That's very simple. As long as you follow me, let's sign a contract. I promise to make you a female star." As he spoke, Wang Changfei reached out to grab Cheng Yuheng's wrist. At this moment, snap, a big hand tightly grabbed Wang Changfei's salty pig hand. Wang Changfei was startled. He quickly turned his head and saw that the person who came was a young man with starry eyebrows and sword-like eyes. It was Su Chen. Su Chen's eyes were stern, and he grabbed Wang Changfei's wrist. No matter how hard Wang Changfei tried, he couldn't break free. "Who the hell are you?" Wang Changfei glared and cursed. Su Chen looked at Wang Changfei coldly. "Who am I? I also want to ask you, who are you?" "Chen, you're back." Cheng Yuheng saw Su Chen and shouted excitedly. "This man said that I can be a female star. He said that, as long as I become a female star, you will play with me all day long." Wang Changfei's eyes fixed. He finally realized that the man in front of him was with a superb beauty. "Hey." Wang Changfei forced a smile. "Brother, let me go first. My name is Wang Changfei, and I'm a scout from an entertainment company. I saw that this lady is beautiful and has great potential, so I wanted to discover her." Su Chen smiled coldly. "We are not interested." He threw her away casually. Wang Changfei was thrown out directly. Thump thump thump. Wan Changfei stumbled and almost fell, and his gold-rimmed glasses fell to the ground. He stood firm and put the glasses back on. Wan Changfei looked at Su Chen in exasperation. Brother, what are you doing? I'm doing this for the good of this girl. You can't delay her development just because you're worried that you won't be worthy of this girl in the future. Su Chen looked at him coldly. Put away your ghost thoughts. Get out of here. Otherwise, you'll regret it too late. Wan Changfei's face suddenly turned cold. He understood that Su Chen already knew what he was thinking. Wan Changfei said with a dark face, boy, I tell you, in Dongsao province, no one that we Triumph Entertainment has taken a fancy to can run away. If you hand over this woman now, I can give you a signing fee of 200,000 yuan. Otherwise, when our boss comes, you won't get a penny. As soon as the words fell, Wang Changfei took out a checkbook, signed a check for 200,000 yuan directly, and slapped it on the barbecue table. Then, he was about to reach out to hold Chen Yuheng's hand again. However, what responded to him was Su Chen's kick. Bang! Wan Changfei was kicked out like a cannonball. The passers-by around exclaimed. Wan Changfei held his stomach, feeling that his internal organs had moved. He struggled to stand up and pointed at Su Chen with trembling hands, but he was in so much pain that he couldn't say a word. Su Chen sneered. Are you guys at Triumph Entertainment so powerful? I really want to see it. Wan Changfei gritted his teeth and said something cruel. Asshole, you, wait. Then he ran away in a hurry. Chen Yuheng's pretty face was full of confusion. She didn't quite understand what had happened. Chen, why did you hit him? He said he wanted me to be a female star, so you liked playing with me. Su Chen smiled. That guy, he is a bad guy. He didn't want you to be a female star at all. He just wanted to deceive you. Oh. Chen Yuheng nodded and pouted. So he is a bad guy. Su Chen picked up the tissue, wiped the oil from Chen Yuheng's mouth, and said, besides, even if you don't want to be a female star, I still like to play with you. Chen Yuheng smiled happily. Yeah. At this time, the owner of the barbecue stall came over and advised, little brother, take your friend away quickly. That guy just now will definitely not give up. Su Chen smiled. It's okay. Don't worry. The barbecue stall owner wanted to persuade him again, but seeing Su Chen's attitude, he had to give up. He shook his head and turned away. Su Chen sat down with Chen Yuheng and continued to eat and drink. He was ready to coax Chen Yuheng to eat happily first, and then send her home. Afterwards, he went to Heoju KTV to find brothers Li Long and Liu Hu to find out the whereabouts of the deep sea electric eel gallbladder. However, Chen Yuheng had just finished eating when a group of fierce-looking strong men surrounded him. Chapter 907. Settling Old Scores. Hula la. A group of people rushed up and surrounded Su Chen and Chen Yuheng. Wan Changfei walked through the crowd with a smug look on his face. He pointed at Su Chen and said with a face full of resentment, boy, you are so brave that you haven't run away yet. I admire you. But you are still dead. Su Chen looked at Wan Changfei coldly and said nothing. He picked up a skewer of meat and ate it slowly. Good words can't persuade the damned ghost. This man is looking for death, and Su Chen can't do anything. Seeing so many people around, Chen Yuheng was just a little curious and not afraid at all. As long as she was with Su Chen, she felt inexplicably at ease. Wan Changfei's greedy eyes swept across Chen Yuheng's face. Then, he turned his head and shouted behind him, Brother Kong, it's this woman. As long as we have her, our Triumph Entertainment will definitely be a hit and regain a foothold in the entertainment industry. The crowd parted again. A young man walked in hurriedly. He was dressed in a suit and tie and also wore gold-rimmed glasses, looking very refined. Su Chen glanced at the man and sneered in his heart because he knew this man. Kang King Gion. Su Chen recalled this name. Before, when Zhou Wanqiu first arrived in the provincial capital, Zhou invited her to attend a business reception in the provincial capital. As a result, Zhou Wanqiu was harassed by this Kang King Gion at the reception. After Su Chen taught Kang King Gion a lesson, he also asked his uncle, Bei Xinlei of the Bei family, to help. The result was naturally even worse. Kang King Gion was taught a lesson by Bei Xinlei, and then he tearfully compensated Su Chen for the fixing entertainment company in his hands. Su Chen casually threw Fixing Entertainment Media to Guking Jin to manage. I didn't expect that this guy would come up with another Triumph Entertainment. Su Chen sneered. Kang Qingyuan walked in. His eyes were shining, staring at Cheng Yuheng. He didn't even notice Su Chen, who was sitting sideways next to him. Good. Kang Qingyuan stared at Cheng Yuheng and muttered to himself. Ever since Fixing Entertainment Media Company was taken away by Su Chen, he has been thinking about starting a new entertainment company. However, this is easier said than done. However, today Wang Changfei sent him a photo of Cheng Yuheng. Kang Qingyuan instantly became excited. He had a hunch that, as long as he got this woman, his newly founded Triumph Entertainment would definitely be a big hit. Miss, I'm Kang Qingyuan, and the head of the Bei family, the first family in Dongzhou provincial capital, is my grandfather. I sincerely welcome you to join my entertainment company, and I promise to make you famous. Kang Qingyuan said pretentiously. Cheng Yuheng looked at Su Chen with a confused face. Chen. Kang Qingyuan then noticed Su Chen, who was facing him sideways. This brother. Kang Qingyuan narrowed his eyes slightly. He felt that the man in front of him seemed familiar. At this time, Wang Changfei stepped forward. Brother Kang, stop talking nonsense to this guy. He is an ungrateful bastard. I just tried to talk to him nicely, but he not only refused, but also wanted to hit me. Kang Qingyuan's face suddenly turned cold. Since you dare to bully my brother, don't blame me for being rude. Brothers, beat this man up, and then take this woman away. The next second, the strong men surrounding them immediately stepped forward. Haha. Rob people in public? Kang Qingyuan, I haven't seen you for a while, but you still haven't improved at all. Su Chen put down the iron skewer in his hand, slowly turned around, and faced Kang Qingyuan. In an instant, looking at this familiar face that often appeared in nightmares, Kang Qingyuan was stunned on the spot. Su Chen. Kang Qingyuan felt a cool breeze rising from his back. On the side, Wang Changfei didn't know what happened. He pointed at Su Chen and shouted angrily, "Asshole! Do you think you can call my brother Kang by his name? Brothers, teach this asshole a lesson. It's better to beat him so hard that he can't eat skewers." However, before he could finish his words, Kang Qingyuan kicked Wang Changfei hard. Bang! Wang Changfei fell directly to the ground, like a rolling gourd, and turned several times before stopping. He looked at Kang Qingyuan with a confused face. Brother Kang, why are you hitting me? You hit this asshole. Kang Qingyuan glared at Wang Changfei fiercely. Then, he walked quickly to Su Chen. Swoosh. Kang Qingyuan stood in front of Su Chen and bowed deeply. For a moment, the group of strong men who originally wanted to attack Su Chen suddenly stopped. The barbecue stall owner, who looked worried, was also stunned on the spot. Wang Changfei was even more dumbfounded. He widened his eyes and looked at Kang Qingyuan with a puzzled look. Wang Changfei knew very well that Kang Qingyuan's grandfather was the White Dragon King, the head of the Bei family in the provincial capital. Kang Qingyuan had never been afraid of anyone before. But now, he bowed his head in front of this young man. Who is this man? Wang Changfei's heart was already in a mess. He only knew that he had hurt Kang Qingyuan badly this time. Kang Qingyuan bent over, lowered his head, and cursed Wang Changfei madly in his heart. This bastard, you can't mess with anyone else, but you have to mess with this evil star. Mr. Su, I really didn't know that this lady was your friend. Kang Qingyuan's voice trembled. Su Chen smiled coldly. If she wasn't my friend, you could have snatched her away, signed a contract to sell her body, and worked for your company, right? Kang Qingyuan trembled. I apologize to you. As soon as the voice fell, bang, Kang Qingyuan flew out directly. Crash. He knocked over several tables in succession before stopping. Boss Kang. Brother Kang. Wang Changfei and the sturdy men around him hurried forward to support Kang Qingyuan. Su Chen said coldly, if an apology is useful, what is the use of police symbols? Kang Qingyuan's face twitched. Su Chen continued, I said last time that, if you fall into my hands again, I will never let you off easily. Last time, you used Fixing Entertainment Media to make amends. What about this time? Kang Qingyuan's face was extremely ugly. Mr. Su, my grandfather is the head of the Bei family. Don't go too far. Su Chen narrowed his eyes and smiled coldly. If you didn't say it, I would have almost forgotten it. I still have some old accounts with your good grandfather that have not been settled. During the Battle of Kingsang Mountain, Beilang Xiang brought Taoist Hua Chen and Mo Shengu to attack him. I haven't gone to settle accounts with them yet. Kang King Yuan was shocked. The third update, there is one more. Chapter 908, The Bei Family in a Panic. Kang King Yuan was very nervous and didn't know what Su Chen meant. However, Su Chen ignored him. He took out a phone and sent a few messages. After a while, a car drove up quickly. The door opened and a non-mainstream young man covered in rivets got out. It was the 7th master of the Cheng family, Cheng Xiansen. He came over and said jokingly, "Brother, haven't you had enough of the fight yesterday? We came out to eat barbecue, but a group fight broke out." As he spoke, his eyes swept over the strong men brought by Kang King Yuan. Cheng Xiansen curled his lips and said, "Brother, you still called me over for this kind of rotten sweet potato and rotten eggs?" Su Chen was too lazy to pay attention to the chattering Cheng Xiansen. He said directly, "I asked you to come here, to take Yu Heng back first, not to fight. I have something else to do later, so I won't send Yu Heng back." Cheng Xiansen nodded. "Oh, so that's the case. I told you, these scumbags are not worth my trip." Su Chen was too lazy to listen to his nonsense and directly urged Cheng Xiansen to take Cheng Yu Heng away. Cheng Yu Heng was reluctant to leave, so Su Chen could only coax her away with kind words. Cheng Xiansen had just taken Cheng Yu Heng away. Several more cars drove over. Red and blue sirens flashed on the white car body. Kang King Yuan, Wang Changfei and others trembled suddenly. The car door opened. Li Yan from the provincial capital criminal investigation team came down with a team of police symbols. Li Yan walked quickly to Su Chen and said respectfully, "Mr. Su, what are your plans?" Su Chen pointed at Kang King Yuan, Wang Changfei and others and said, "I just had dinner here with a female friend, and they directly forced my friend to join Triumph Entertainment. I suspect that their Triumph Entertainment has used many similar methods. I hope you can investigate them carefully." Facing Su Chen's order, Li Yan would naturally not neglect it. "Take them all away." Li Yan waved his hand, and his men stepped forward immediately. Wang Changfei and others were immediately as hen. How arrogant they were when they came, how depressed they are now. Their Triumph Entertainment has just been established. In addition to forcibly pulling beautiful girls into the water, there are also many scandals. If they are investigated strictly, they will definitely be investigated thoroughly. Kang King Yuan immediately shouted, "How dare you! My grandfather is the White Dragon King of the Bei family in the provincial capital. If anyone dares to touch my company, I will dare to peel off this layer of skin on you." Hearing the voice of the White Dragon King, Li Yan and his men were shocked. This is the head of the first family in the provincial capital, and his reputation is well known. Su Chen smiled coldly, pointed at Kang King Yuan and said, "Leave this guy to me, and check the others first." "Okay, Mr. Su." Li Yan was also relieved. Soon, Wang Changfei and a group of bodyguards from Triumph Entertainment were directly captured. Only Su Chen and Kang King Yuan were left at the scene. Kang King Yuan looked nervous, not knowing what Su Chen was going to do. Mr. Su, I was wrong. Please, treat me like a fart and let me go." Su Chen said coldly, "I have let you go once." Kang King Yuan's face was full of constipation. He hated Wang Changfei in his heart. Su Chen looked at him coldly and said, "Don't worry, your account this time is just a small account. I will take you to settle a big account." Kang King Yuan was confused. Then, Su Chen settled the bill directly, picked him up and left. Mr. Su, spare my life." Kang King Yuan thought Su Chen was going to kill him, and he was scared and screamed. Noisy. Su Chen directly hit out with a palm. Suddenly, Kang King Yuan could not make any sound. Su Chen ran away quickly, as if he was carrying a chicken. Kang King Yuan was so scared that he almost peed his pants. However, he soon came to his senses, because he found that the place where Su Chen took him seemed to be the Bei family. The Bei family, one of the 8 major families in the provincial capital. It can even be said that it is the first family in the provincial capital of Dongzhou. However, at this moment, the Bei family did not have the momentum of the first family. On the contrary, there was a kind of decadence that the building was about to collapse. The atmosphere of the whole family has been compressed to the extreme. In the hall, Basil sat in the main seat. Sitting in this position he had longed for a long time, his face did not have a trace of excitement, but was full of sorrow. Below him, there were the direct and collateral descendants of the Bei family, as well as the martial arts worshippers. Basil spoke solemnly and asked, "How is it? Is there any news? How are my father and uncle?" There was silence in the hall. A gloomy look flashed across Basil's face. At this time, Basil's wife Yuping said, "Xinlei, I think you are too cautious. This time, with so many masters dealing with that little beast Su Chen, he must be dead. Dad and uncle may have something else to do, so they didn't come back." "Shut up." Basil glared at his wife fiercely. Yuping lowered her head quickly, not daring to talk nonsense again. Basil looked at a priest and asked, "Su Ganfeng, did you find anything when you went to Kingsang Mountain today?" A middle-aged priest said, "The traces of fighting in Kingsang Mountain have been cleaned up by the people of Qinhui. As for the battle situation, the news from Qinhui is very strictly blocked, and there is no definite news. However, according to some clues from nearby villages, it seems that only some people from Shangjing Liu's family and Su Chen's two groups have settled down from Kingsang Mountain." Hearing this news, Basil's face turned pale and his body shook violently. On the side, everyone in the Bei family also talked aloud. "Impossible. Old Bei is a mid-level god realm expert. Nothing can happen to him." "That's right. With so many people against that Su Chen, how could he escape? Those villagers must have seen it wrong. The head of the family must have been delayed by something, and they will probably be back soon." Everyone was talking. It sounded like they were analyzing the situation, but the panic in their tone could not be concealed. Bang! Basil slammed the table. Everyone shut up immediately. Basil gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice, "Everyone in the Bei family, listen to my order. Hurry up, pack up all the valuables, and prepare to evacuate the capital of Dongzhou. Also, send someone to notify my sister and nephew Qingyuan." At this moment, a voice sounded. "No need to notify Khan Qingyuan specifically, I'll send him to you." Bang! A figure flew in directly from the door and fell to the ground in embarrassment. It was Khan Qingyuan. Fourth update. Good night everyone. Thank you for your support. Chapter 909. No way to escape. Hearing this familiar voice, Basil shuddered violently. Then, a figure was thrown directly into the hall. "Uncle, save me." Khan Qingyuan fell to the ground in a mess and struggled to crawl towards Basil. "Qingyuan." Basil hurried forward and helped Khan Qingyuan up. He and Khan Qingyuan had a close relationship as uncle and nephew. Otherwise, when the Bei family was about to evacuate the provincial capital, Basil would not have thought of notifying his sister and nephew alone. "Qingyuan, are you okay?" Basil asked with concern. Khan Qingyuan climbed up and said in horror, "Uncle, Su Chen, that bastard, attacked me again." Basil's face instantly became uglier. He suddenly raised his head and looked out the door. Dap, dap, dap. A sound of footsteps sounded, hitting Basil's heart hard. Then, Su Chen's figure slowly appeared in front of the Bei family. "It's Su Chen. He's actually still alive. If this evil star is alive, what about the head of the family? Did he come to our Bei family this time to kill us all?" Everyone in the Bei family whispered. Everyone's face showed a look of fear. The last time Su Chen came to the Bei family, he killed everyone, and many Bei family worshippers died at Su Chen's hands. But now, the Bei family's strong men Bei Longxiang, Zhu Lingyuan and others have never returned, and Su Chen has appeared again. The meaning behind this is something that everyone in the Bei family dare not imagine at all. More importantly, at this moment, they have no ability to resist Su Chen at all. Basil naturally thought of this, and his face was extremely gloomy. However, now he is the person with the highest status in the Bei family, and he can only come forward. Basil gritted his teeth and stepped forward. "Mr. Su, I don't know where Qingyuan offended you. I'm willing to apologize to you on his behalf." Su Chen gave Basil a cold look and said, "I came to your house this time not because Khan Qingyuan offended me, but because your Bei family Hearing this, Bei Xinluo's heart sank to the bottom of the valley in an instant. Mr. Su, what do you mean by this? Bei Xinluo said with a stiff face. Su Chen said indifferently, Bei Xinluo, why do you have to pretend to be confused when you know the truth? Bei Long Xiang and your father, Bei Long Wang, took people to Kingsang Mountain to attack me. Now, are you pretending to be ignorant again? Bei Xinluo was unclear. Finally, he gritted his teeth and asked, Mr. Su, I want to ask, how are my father and others now? Su Chen's face did not change, and he spit out 7 words. Those who kill will be killed. Boom. This sentence hit Bei Xinluo's heart hard. His face turned pale, his feet softened, and he almost fell down. Dad, uncle. Bei Xinluo's eyes were red, and his expression was desperate. The other members of the Bei family were also in chaos. At this time, a Bei family priest stood up and shouted angrily, impossible. Old Bei is a mid-level god, he can't be killed. It must be that the head of the Bei family and Old Bei had other things to do and were delayed. We should not be scared by this bastard. Su Chen looked at the Bei family priest coldly. Then, he punched out. In an instant, the phantom of Yaodao Mountain flashed, and Bei Long Xiang's splitting mountains and breaking sea sword intent on it burst out instantly. Swish. The space was like a piece of cloth, and was directly cut open by the sword light. The Bei family priest didn't react at all, and was directly hit by the sword light. Puff. A tearing sound exploded. A blood-colored flower instantly burst out from the chest of the Bei family priest. The next second, the whole person flew backwards and fell to the ground without any sound. Ah. Wan Gangfeng. Splitting mountains and breaking seas. This is Old Bei splitting mountains and breaking seas. How did Su Chen learn it? Could it be that Old Bei? In an instant, all the Bei family members had to accept this fact. Su Chen glanced at all the Bei family members coldly and said lightly, why? Do you believe it now? Everyone in the Bei family was like a bereaved family. Even if they wanted to cry, they didn't dare to make a sound. Bei Xinluo's face turned pale and his whole body was shaking. He knew in his heart, the Bei family was completely finished. He looked up at Su Chen and said tremblingly, Mr. Su, this time, my Bei family admits defeat. However, my uncle and my father have died in your hands. Shouldn't you also calm down? Now, my Bei family has no power to resist. Please let us go. Su Chen smiled coldly. His eyes were cold, and he glanced at Bei Xinluo. If Bei Long Xiang and Bei Long Wang win, will you spare me? Bei Xinluo looked embarrassed and didn't know how to start. The answer is obvious. If the Bei family wins, Su Chen will naturally have no chance of survival. Puff. Bei Xinluo knelt down directly in front of Su Chen. The surrounding Bei family members were shocked. Husband. Xinluo. Dad. Bei Xinluo shouted angrily, those who don't want to die, kneel down. All the Bei family members hurriedly knelt down. In the blink of an eye, all the Bei family members knelt down. At the critical moment of life and death, no one cared about that little dignity. For a while, only Kang Qingyuan, who was confused, stood there in a daze. He thought that, when he came to his grandfather's house, even if Su Chen was arrogant, he would not go too far. After all, this is the first family in the provincial capital. Unexpectedly, the Bei family seemed to be even worse. Not only did his grandfather and others die in Su Chen's hands, but other Bei family members were also in danger of death. Puff. Kang Qingyuan also hurriedly knelt down, not daring to look up. At this time, Bei Xinluo raised his head and said with a sad face, Mr. Su, my uncle and father have paid the price for their choice. But the rest of our Bei family have not committed a crime worthy of death. Please, have mercy and spare the rest of our Bei family a way out. We, the Bei family, are willing to give you all our assets. Su Chen said coldly, haha. If I want your Bei family's assets, why do I need you to give them to me? Bei Xinluo's expression froze. He could only say awkwardly, yes, yes. Su Chen said coldly, the Bei family can be exempted from the death penalty, but cannot escape the living crime. However, no matter what crime you have committed, there will be people who will convict you. After speaking, Su Chen clapped his hands. Suddenly, Qin Qingmei walked in with a team of tiger-catching guards. Seeing the newcomers, everyone in the Bei family immediately showed despair on their faces. The first update is here. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 910 Live and Die Together. Everyone in the Bei family felt as if they were in an ice cellar. Su Chen actually found the tiger catching guards. Next, the tiger catching guards will definitely investigate everyone in the Bei family. Among the 8 major families in the provincial capital, how many are completely clean enough to dominate the capital of Dongzhou? Especially the Bei family, which has always been known as the #1 family in Dongzhou province. With a powerful god, like Bei Longxiang in charge, the White Dragon King has always been rampant. Naturally, there are many illegal and disorderly things among the Bei family's subordinates. Now, under the strict investigation of the tiger catching guards, it is highly likely that few people can escape. Thinking of this, Bei's in-law's eyes showed despair. Liu Qingmei walked over. She rolled her eyes at Su Chen first. I haven't recovered yet, and you let me run here and continue to work for you? Su Chen smiled. How can this be considered working for me? This Bei family has been doing evil in the capital of Dongzhou for many years. You are punishing evil and promoting good for Dongzhou province and reviving the glory of the tiger catching guards. Haha. That sounds good. It's just to clean your ass. Qin Qingmei glared at Su Chen. Then, she waved her hand and ordered, take away all the members of the Bei family and investigate each of them thoroughly. No omissions are allowed, and no criminal can be let go. Yes. The group of tiger catching guards were very excited, and then they stepped forward to arrest people. Before, the Bei family was the first family in the provincial capital. The Bei family had masters in the divine realm. Even if the Bei family committed a crime, the tiger catching guards did not dare to go too far. There were even Bei family members and Bei family worshippers who deliberately committed crimes and then took the initiative to mock the tiger catching guards. The members of the tiger catching guards were forced by the power of the Bei family to suppress their anger, retreat and tolerate. Now, the situation has changed. The Bei family has finally fallen, and they can finally vent their anger. Su Chen and Qin Qingmei were by their side, and everyone in the Bei family knew that even if they resisted, it would be useless, and they could only let the tiger catching guards control and take them away. Soon, Su Chen and Qin Qingmei were the only ones left in the hall. Qin Qingmei looked at Su Chen and teased, you are so idle. Have you recovered? It's not even a day, and you're out looking for trouble again. Su Chen said, the injury is not a problem. Today, I just happened to meet Bei's in-law's nephew, and then I suddenly remembered that the Bei family hadn't dealt with it. Fortunately, this is how the Bei family didn't run away. Brother Bei Longxiang and Bei Longwang, you dare to take advantage of the Liu family's dealing with me, you will pay the price. Of course, there are also the Rang family and the Zhou family. Su Chen narrowed his eyes. He remembered clearly that the Rang family also sent Taoist Wuchen, and the Zhou family sent a Mo Shenggu. The accounts of these two families must also be settled. Qin Qingmei glanced at Su Chen and said, you really hold a grudge. It seems that I have to dispatch a few more batches of tiger catching guards to accompany you to capture people. Su Chen smiled and said, yeah. You've worked hard. It's not hard. Qin Qingmei smiled. You are right. We can be said to be punishing evil and promoting good. The Bei family, the Zhou family, and the Rang family, their men probably have committed many murders. It seems that today, our tiger catching guard prison will be full. Then, Qin Qingmei asked again, by the way, I heard from Captain Li that your President Zhao is in trouble again. Su Chen's face darkened. That's right. In addition to arranging personnel in Kingsong Mountain, the Liu family also made second-hand preparations. They made a feint to the east and attacked in the west, blocked my mobile phone signal, transferred me to Bincheng, and then kidnapped President Zhao. Qin Qingmei frowned slightly. Don't Zhang Langhu and Meng Diqiu protect her? Su Chen whispered. Alliance leader Zhang was seriously injured, and I asked Meng Diqiu to protect President Zhao. As a result, there was no news from both of them. Qin Qingmei asked with some doubts, what's so special about your boss Zhao? Why do I feel that the Liu family seems to be biting her? A light flashed in Su Chen's eyes. He sighed and said, I don't know either. I'm afraid I'll have to wait until I get to the Liu family to get the answer. King Mui raised her eyes and looked at Su Chen. Are you really going to make a scene at the Liu family in Shangjing? Su Chen didn't say anything, but looked outside. King Mui sighed and said, Su Chen, don't be impulsive. The Liu family in Shangjing is not a trivial matter. If you rush in a hurry, you will most likely be detained by the Liu family. Su Chen nodded and said, I understand. In the short term, Boss Zhao should be fine. So, now I'm trying to find a way to quickly break through the Yuan-Qi martial god, so that I can be sure to go to the Liu family. What? King Mui's beautiful eyes widened and looked at Su Chen. Are you going to break through the Yuan-Qi martial god again? She looked like she had seen a ghost. Su Chen said, not yet, I'm just trying to find a way. I'll try to break through to the vitality god within a month. King Mui was speechless. For others, breaking through the god realm is as difficult as overcoming a tribulation. But your physical body, mental strength, and vitality, one after another, are like a joke. When I first met you, it seemed that you were only in the Xianshan realm, but now you are about to reach the 3 god realms. Captain Li Wei and the other said that I'm a genius. If I'm a genius, what are you? Are you a pervert? Su Chen suddenly laughed dumbly. We were just having a good chat. Why are you cursing? King Mui asked again. By the way, is everything okay with the Zhao family in Bincheng? Su Chen nodded and said, it's okay. The real purpose of the Liu family in Shangjing is just to lure me away from the provincial capital, so there are many loopholes in their methods. I also called Mr. Fang Dingbang. He said that the investigation he was under was just the intention of the Liu family to delay him, and there was no actual evidence at all. Now, Mr. Fang has freed up his hands. The problem with the Zhao family has been solved. The most important trouble now is still Mr. Zhao's. King Mui nodded. She looked at Su Chen deeply and said, if you really want to go to the Liu family in Shangjing to find Zhou Wanqiu, you'd better tell me. What for? Su Chen looked at King Mui in surprise. He asked casually, do you want to live and die with me? As soon as these words came out, King Mui was stunned. Then, a blush rose on her originally cold and pretty face. You can't spit out ivory from a dog's mouth. I'm going to collect your body. King Mui stepped hard on Su Chen and then turned and walked out. Su Chen grimaced in pain. You turn hostile so quickly. What a bad temper. Soon, the Bei family dealt with it. Su Chen then set off and rushed to the Rang and Zhu families. The second update is here. Chapter 911, Rang Zhu Despair. At this moment, the Rang family was in the same state of anxiety as the Bei family before. Rang Yixiao, the head of the Rang family, sat on the main seat, his face full of worry and impatience. Beside him were his eldest son Rang Qingshan and grandson Rang Ruhang. The Rang family became enemies with Su Chen because Rang Rui's coveted Zhou Wanqiu. As a result, Rang Rui's and his father, Rang Qingfeng, the second master of the Rang family, both died at the hands of Su Chen. Because of this, Rang Yixiao asked the old man Bincheng and Taoist Chen to take action against Su Chen. In the end, the old man Jin Guang died directly at the hands of Su Chen. And now, Taoist Chen went to Kingsang Mountain, and no news came back. Rang Yixiao's heart was already covered with a shadow. He looked at his eldest son and asked, Qingshan, haven't you contacted Taoist Chen yet? Rang Qingshan also shook his head with an ugly expression. Rang Yixiao asked again, what about the Bei family and the Zhu family? Especially the Bei family, Bei Langxiang and the White Dragon King. Are there any moves? Rang Qingshan shook his head. Before, I contacted Bei Xinlei of the Bei family, and he didn't receive any news. At this point, Rang Qingshan looked at Rang Yixiao worriedly. Dad, this time, are we too impulsive? Originally, the Shangjing Liu family's attack on Su Chen has nothing to do with us at all. They can kill Su Chen, so we just want revenge. If they can't kill Su Chen, we won't lose anything. But we asked Taoist Chen to take action, and we got involved abruptly. Isn't this asking for trouble? Rang Qingshan vented his resentment. On the side, Rang Ruhang and other Rang family members nodded involuntarily. They thought the same thing. Bang! Rang Yixiao slapped the 8 immortals table with one palm. Everyone was immediately shocked and bowed their heads. Rang Yixio stared at Rang Qingshan with his hawk-like eyes. Bullshit. Your second brother King Feng and Rui's both died at the hands of Su Chen. Are we going to let this huge hatred go? Rang Qingshan moved his lips, but he didn't dare to speak. In fact, in his opinion, if he couldn't avenge this, he would just give up. Anyway, it wasn't him who died. Humph. Rang Yixio snorted coldly. Before, when we asked Taoist Chen to take action, you were all indignant and wanted to skin Su Chen and suck his blood. Do you know you're afraid now? Everyone in the Rang family lowered their heads with mixed feelings. Before, they all thought Su Chen was dead. Who would have thought that now? Not only was there no news of Su Chen's death, but Taoist Chen and others were completely out of contact. Dad, now is not the time to pursue responsibility. Let's think of a countermeasure quickly. Rang Qingshan changed the subject. Rang Yixio took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, at this point, we can only make the worst plan. What plan? Rang Qingshan asked. Rang Yixio took out a black bank card and said, I have arranged for someone to quickly cash out the most valuable assets in the family. Although the loss is not small, it is still several hundred billion. Now, the money is placed in this anonymous black card. Qingshan, you and Ruhan take this card and leave first. If everything is calm in the future, I will notify you to come back. If things can't be done, you and Ruhan will stay abroad forever. Rang Qingshan's eyes lit up when he saw this. He didn't expect that his father had already made 2 preparations and even sold the family property. In this way, at least the safety of himself and his son should be guaranteed. Dad, you are so foresighted. With this money, our Rang family still has a chance to make a comeback. Rang Qingshan was excited. Then, he was about to reach out for the black bank card. However, at this moment, a clear voice came. Sorry, you Rang family will never have the chance to have such a beautiful dream. Everyone in the Rang family was suddenly startled. The next second, whoosh, the bank card in Rang Yixio's hand actually flew directly through the air and flew towards the door. Snap. A slender hand stretched out from the door and grasped the card steadily and accurately. Everyone in the Rang family was shocked. Who is it? Looking for death. Put down the card. Rang Yixio, Rang Qingshan and a group of Rang family members shouted angrily. The next second, the owner of the arm stepped into the hall. It was Su Chen. For a moment, all the Rang family members were stunned on the spot. Su Chen. Rang Yixio's lips trembled, and he was somewhat speechless. Obviously, he had realized the outcome of the Battle of Kingsang Mountain. Rang Yixio forced a smile. Su Chen, what are you doing here? Su Chen said coldly. Rang Yixio, your acting skills are indeed better than Basinli's. But don't tell me that Taoist Chen is not worshipped by your Rang family. Rang Yixio was completely frozen. It seems that Su Chen already knows all the truth. At this moment, Rang Yixio really regretted it. The hearts of the Rang family members also sank to the bottom. If they could choose, they would never trouble Su Chen again. However, there is no regret medicine in the world. Su Chen was too lazy to talk nonsense with these people and directly called the Tiger Guards in again and took the Rang family members away. Su Chen believed that with the domineering behavior of Rang Rui's and Rang Qingfeng, the Rang family must have committed many crimes. With the means of the Tiger Guards, they would naturally not let any of the Rang family escape. Then, Su Chen ran to the Zhou family again. Zhou family. Like the Bei family and the Rang family, the Zhou family at this time was also full of sorrow. At this moment, the head of the family, Zhou Wanqiu, was looking anxiously at Zhou Zishan, a branch of the Zhou family, and beside him, Zhou Xianzhong, the eldest master of the Zhou family, and Zhou Xianyi, the second master of the Zhou family, also had ugly faces. Zishan, is there any news about your master, Mr. Mo? Then is Su Chen alive or dead? It's been a day, haven't you contacted your master yet? Zhou Wanqiu asked. His heart was in his throat. Yesterday, he was still excitedly waiting for the news of Su Chen's death. But now, as time passed, his heart became more and more flustered. Across from him, Zhou Zishan had a helpless look on his face. From the very beginning, he didn't want his master Mo Shengu to kill Su Chen for the Zhou family. However, the head of the family, Zhou Wanqiu, kept insisting, and Zhou Zishan had no choice but to ask his master for help. And now, Zhu Zishan glanced at Zhu Dangshan and sighed, head of the family, prepare to apologize to Su Chen. With just one sentence, the Zhu family was instantly in despair. The third update is here. Good night, everyone. Thank you for your support. Chapter 912 The Only Way. After Zhu Zishan finished speaking, all the Zhu family members were stunned. Zhu Dangshan took a deep breath and stared at Zhu Zishan. Zishan, what did you say? Zhu Zishan sighed. Master, prepare to apologize to Su Chen. Zhu Dangshan's lips trembled. Could it be that Su Chen won the battle at Kingsang Mountain? Yes. Zhu Zishan nodded. In fact, when he first got this news from his master Mo Shengu, he didn't dare to believe it. Then Mo Shengu told Zhu Zishan that the friendship between the two of them as a master and apprentice ended, and Mo Shengu had nothing to do with the Zhu family anymore. Mo Shengu's frightened tone made Zhu Zishan accept this reality. Zhu Zishan couldn't imagine why Su Chen, who was only slightly better than him some time ago, became so strong. Not only can he fight with the strong men in the God Realm, but he can also kill the strong men in the God Realm continuously. Zhu Zishan looked at the Zhu family members who were frightened, like quails, and sighed deeply. Zishan, can your master? Zhu Dangshan asked with the last glimmer of hope. However, Zhu Zishan shook his head. Master, my master has severed the master-disciple relationship with me, and it is impossible for him to help us anymore. His last suggestion to our Zhu family is to kneel down and apologize to Su Chen and get his forgiveness. The last glimmer of light in Zhu Dangshan's eyes quickly dissipated. The Zhu family was in a panic. Some people even stared at Zhu Xianzhang, the eldest uncle of the Zhu family, with a complaining look. Zhu Xianzhang lowered his head and dared not speak. Speaking of which, the Zhu family would never provoke Su Chen at all. As a result, after Zhu Xianzhang, the eldest uncle of the Zhu family, suppressed the second uncle Zhu Xianyi, he indulged his son Zhu Kingyu into attack in Linglong, and eventually provoked Su Chen. If the Zhu family had always treated in Linglong with the attitude of the second uncle Zhu Xianyi, how could they have offended Su Chen? If things went wrong, the Zhu family would also be favored by Su Chen, like the Yao family, the Han family, and other families in the 8 major families. One wrong step is heaven and hell. Zhu Dangshan naturally understood this truth. Boom. You are such a scourge. Zhu Dangshan stood up suddenly and kicked Zhu Xianzhang. Bang. Suddenly, Zhu Xianzhang flew out like a rolling gourd. He rolled on the ground several times before stopping. At this time, Zhu Xianzhang was covered in dust and looked embarrassed, but he didn't dare to say a word. He crawled over on his knees and approached Zhu Dangshan again. Dad. Zhu Dangshan glared at him fiercely. Don't call me dad. You are my dad. How could I give birth to such a disaster like you? Dad, don't blame me. Zhu Xianzhang defended himself. It was your grandson King Yuan who was interested in Linglong that caused all these things to happen. Zhu Dangshan's face was gloomy. Don't think I don't know that you condoned everything that little bastard did. It's obvious that you saw that the second brother was taking good care of Linglong, and Linglong was also managing the no man's land Medicine King Valley in an orderly manner, so you instructed that little bastard to attack Linglong in order to strike your second brother, right? Zhu Xianzhang opened his mouth, but in the end, he said nothing. He did condone this. However, he didn't know that Linglong would know a pervert like Su Chen. Zhu Dangshan was so angry that his chest was heaving. Zhu Xianzhang and Zhu Xianyi's struggle for power was actually condoned by him. He even agreed to send Mo Shengu to attack Su Chen. But Zhu Dangshan never expected that it would turn out like this. Now, the entire Zhu family is like a criminal waiting for sentencing, shrouded in an atmosphere of panic. Zhu Dangshan glanced around, looked at the Zhu family members who were already scared and in a mess, and shook his head in disappointment. Usually, these Zhu family members were all showing off their power and making decisions. But now, they have become like ostriches burying their heads in the sand. The only one who can still remain calm is Zhu Zishan, a side branch who was not valued in the past. Zhu Dangshan looked at Zhu Zishan and tried to ask, Zishan, do you have any idea to save our Zhu family? Zhu Zishan thought for a while, sighed and said, Patriarch, I think the only one who can save our Zhu family at this time is probably the second master. You mean Xianyi? Zhu Dangshan was stunned. On the side, Zhu Qianhang heard Zhu Zishan mention his opponent and immediately muttered, Zhu Qianhai is a stubborn person. What's the use of him coming at this time? No matter when, Zhu Qianhai is a competitor for the position of the head of Zhu Qianhang's family. He finally suppressed Zhu Qianhai and naturally did not want the other party to show up again. However, Zhu Dangshan glared at Zhu Qianhang fiercely. Shut up. No matter how stubborn Qianhai is, he is better than you, a troublemaker. Zhu Qianhang did not dare to speak again. Zhu Dangshan looked at Zhu Zishan again. Zishan, how can Qianhai save our Zhu family? Zhu Zishan whispered, head of the family, you've forgotten Linglang. Hearing this, Zhu Dangshan's eyes lit up. Yes. This Su Chen has a good relationship with Linglang, and Qianhai has always been good to Linglang. With Qianhai coming forward, maybe Su Chen will spare our Zhu family once. Zhu Dangshan was overjoyed. He quickly ordered, go and notify the second brother, tell him to come quickly. Before, Zhu Qianhang suppressed Zhu Qianhai in the Zhu family, but now he can only watch him step into the spotlight again. A member of the Zhu family ran out to call Zhu Qianhai. After a while, dong dong dong, there was a knock on the door of the hall. Zhu Dangshan's face suddenly became overjoyed. Qianhai, come in. Click. The door opened. A tall figure stepped in. The surprise on Zhu Dangshan's face froze in an instant. Su Chen. The first update is here. Chapter 913 is revealed. Su Chen's figure appeared in front of the Zhu family. All the Zhu family members were shocked. It's Su Chen. He's really here. We won't die today, will we? What should we do? What should we do? All the Zhu family members were in chaos. Su Chen's cold eyes swept over everyone. He said lightly, oh. Just like the Bei family and the Rang family, they all came in large numbers. Hearing this, Zhu Dangshan's heart sank instantly. It was obvious that Su Chen had dealt with the Bei family and the Rang family. In an instant, Zhu Dangshan's face turned pale. He barely stood up and bowed to Su Chen, saying, Mr. Su, my Zhu family apologizes to you. It was my Zhu family's fault for attacking you this time. We are willing to make amends to you. After saying that, puff, Zhu Dangshan knelt down directly in front of Su Chen. Please spare my life. Immediately, other Zhu family members also knelt down. Mr. Su, spare my life. Please, don't kill me. A sneer flashed across Su Chen's face. The Zhu family members knelt faster than the Bei and Rang families. Su Chen looked at everyone coldly. While I'm fighting with others, send someone to kill me and then beg me for mercy after failure. Everyone in the Zhu family bowed their heads and dared not speak. At this time, an urgent sound of footsteps came. Then, a thin figure rushed into the hall. Su Chen looked up and saw that the person who came was a middle-aged man, tall and thin, with an anxious face. Second brother. Zhu Dangshan shouted hurriedly. Su Chen immediately understood the identity of this person. Zhu Qianhai, the second master of the Zhu family. In other words, the person who protected Linglang and the Zhu family at the beginning. Bang. As soon as Zhu Qianhai came in, he knelt directly in front of Su Chen. Zhu Qianhai meets Mr. Su. Please let my father live. I, Zhu Qianhai, am willing to exchange my life for my father's life. Zhu Qianhai bowed his head deeply. On the side, Zhu Dangshan was stunned. He was a little stunned, staring blankly at his second son, who was not very popular with him. He did not expect that his second son would be like this at this time. Su Chen snorted coldly, you said to replace me, so what? At this time, Zhu Dangshan came back to his senses. He looked at the eldest brother Zhu Qianhang who dared not speak beside him, and sighed slightly in his heart. It was actually Zhu Qianhang who strongly requested to take action against Su Chen. As a result, now he is like a turtle shrinking his head. A trace of disappointment flashed through Zhu Dangshan's heart. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said, Mr. Su, it was me, the head of the family, who took action against you. I'm willing to take full responsibility and die in your hands. Please spare the rest of my Zhu family. Boom. Zhu Dangshan's head hit the ground hard. Suddenly, bright red blood flowed down Zhu Dangshan's forehead. Dad. Zhu Qianhai quickly knelt and crawled over to support his father. Zhu Qianhang just took a sneak peek and dared not say anything. The other Zhou family members also lowered their heads, fearing that they would be noticed by Su Chen. Su Chen felt a little amused when he saw all these people. Zhou Qianyi helped Zhu Dangshan wipe the blood off his forehead and looked up at Su Chen. "Mr. Su, please, for Linglong's sake, spare my father's life. Our Zhou family is willing to pay 10 billion to atone for your sins." Su Chen glanced at Zhou Qianyi indifferently and said, 10 billion is not enough. Zhou Qianyi gritted his teeth. "As long as you are willing to spare our lives, all our Zhou family's property will be compensated to you." Hearing this, all the Zhou family members stared at Zhou Qianyi. From the bottom of their hearts, they hoped that Su Chen would kill Zhu Dangshan and then expose the matter directly. After that, they were still the high and mighty Zhou family members. Looking at the thoughts written on everyone's faces, Su Chen sneered in his heart. Perhaps, people are alive, but money is gone, is the most painful education for the Zhou family. But Su Chen still shook his head. Not enough. Everyone was shocked. This is not enough. Does Su Chen have to kill all the Zhou family members? Zhou Qianyi gritted his teeth and said, "I would like to die in Mr. Su's hands in exchange for Mr. Su's extinguishing his anger." Su Chen chuckled. "Zhou Qianyi, you are pretty good. It's just a pity that you were born into such a family. But your life is worthless to me. I want another person." As soon as the words fell, Su Chen directly hit out with a palm. And his target was the Zhou family's uncle, Zhou Qianzhang. Zhou Qianzhang's face was shocked, but he had no time to react at all, and was overwhelmed by the fierce vitality. Crack, 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 bang, bang, bang. Zhou Qianzhang was like being hit by a giant hammer, and flew out directly. "Ah!" Zhou Qianzhang screamed. "I only felt that the meridians and bones in his body had been completely shattered. For the rest of his life, he could only lie in bed and could never stand up again." "Qianzhang, brother, uncle." Panicked voices rang out one by one. At this time, Su Chen's calm voice rang out. "Every wrong has its perpetrator. Every debt has its creditor. He deserves it. Next, the Zhou family will donate all their property, and the matter will be over. Later, I will send someone to take over the Zhou family's assets. You'd better not have other ideas, otherwise I will change my mind. Oh, by the way, you are welcome to seek revenge on me." After saying that, Su Chen's eyes swept around. Everyone in the Zhou family lowered their heads quickly, not daring to speak. Su Chen raised his foot and left. Everyone in the Zhou family breathed a sigh of relief. Zhu Dangshan's face was gloomy, but a trace of relief flashed across his face. No matter what, the Zhou family finally survived. After Su Chen left the Zhou family, he took out his mobile phone and dialed. Soon, the call was connected. A sweet voice came from the speaker. "The second update is here. Chapter 914. It's nice to have a backer. Mr. Su, why did you call me suddenly?" And Linglong's sweet voice was filled with surprise. After falling out with the Zhou family, and Linglong took Ling Yuru and left the no man's land Medicine King Valley directly and followed Su Chen to Bincheng. And Linglong even bought a new villa next to the Zhao family villa. As a result, Su Chen ran directly to the provincial capital. What's more infuriating is that Zhou Wanqiu also ran to the provincial capital, leaving in Linglong and Ling Yuru in Bincheng. And Linglong felt helpless. "Mr. Su, you promised me that you would start a company for me to run. I gave up such a big industry in Medicine King Valley for you, but you just left me and ran to the provincial capital." And Linglong teased with a little complaint. Su Chen smiled. "Don't worry. The new industry has been completed. You can come to the provincial capital to take over. It is guaranteed to be bigger than the industry in Medicine King Valley." And Linglong was shocked. "Now?" Su Chen said. "If possible, it is better to do it now." Although Su Chen felt that the Zhou family would not dare to make any small moves. But it is always more reassuring to take over earlier. And Linglong asked curiously, "Mr. Su, what is the industry that is bigger than Medicine King Valley that you are talking about?" Su Chen said lightly, "All the industries of the Zhou family in the provincial capital." "Ah!" A cry of surprise came from the megaphone. And Linglong was stunned on the spot. She took a while to calm down. "Mr. Su, is it because of me that you—" There was a tremor in Linglong's voice. Su Chen was startled. This woman seems to have misunderstood. Su Chen was about to explain. and Linglong's words of gratitude had already come. Thank you. Thank you, Su Chen. Su Chen opened his mouth, not knowing how to explain. He thought for a moment and said, well, whatever you think. For the Zhou family, handle everything as you wish. If someone has bullied you, you can take revenge at will. It will be fine. And Linglong was immediately more grateful. Yeah. Thank you. In the end, the two hung up the call with Linglong's constant gratitude. Putting away the phone, Su Chen touched his nose. This is a fuss. Never mind. Let Linglong handle the Zhou family. I should go find brothers Liu Long and Li Hu to find out the location of the deep sea eel gallbladder. A cold light flashed in Su Chen's eyes. On the other side, Linglong hung up the phone, still a little confused. On the side, Ling Yuru came over. Linglong, what's wrong? I saw you were in a daze after answering the phone. Who called? And Linglong came back to her senses. Sister Ru, it's Su Chen. Hearing Su Chen's name, Ling Yuru's eyes widened. What? It's this bastard. Why didn't you hand me the phone just now, so that I could scold him? We two beautiful women came to him for help, but he ran to the provincial capital without saying hello, leaving us here. Why? Are we two in the way? Looking at the angry Ling Yuru, Linglong smiled helplessly. Sister Ru and Su Chen are like enemies, and their magnetic fields are extremely incompatible. Sister Ru, Mr. Su went to the provincial capital to do something big, and Linglong explained for Su Chen. Ling Yuru sneered. What big thing can he do? That bastard must have been flirting with the beautiful CEO of his family. You are such a silly woman. You took the initiative to stick to him, and said good things for him. And Linglong said helplessly, Sister Ru, Mr. Su really did something big. What big thing? Come on. Introduce me. Ling Yuru pouted, and took a sip of water from the water cup. And Linglong said, Mr. Su has taken down the Zhou family. Now let me take over the Zhou family's property. Poof. Ling Yuru spit out a mouthful of water, and sprayed it all over the floor. Cough cough cough. She was choked and coughed wildly, her face flushed. What did you say? Ling Yuru looked at Linglong in disbelief. And Linglong explained. Ling Yuru was completely dumbfounded. How can he be so powerful? Looking at the absent-minded Ling Yuru, Linglong's eyes flashed with a hint of pride. I told you a long time ago that joining Mr. Su was the most correct step for me. Let's go. Let's go to the Zhou family in the provincial capital. Thinking of the expressions of the Zhou family when they see me, I can't wait. Ling Yuru was immediately excited. Me too. Haha. The Zhou family in the provincial capital. After Su Chen left, there was a cloud of sorrow. Everyone was dejected and in a complicated mood. Although they survived, they lost the Zhou family's property. This made them not know whether they should be sad or happy. Some members of the Zhou family looked at Zhou Xianai with complaints on their faces. Pretending to be generous. You have to compensate Su Chen for the Zhou family's property. Humph. I don't know if you are really helping the Zhou family or deliberately aiding the enemy. Cold words came from the cold wind and yang. Zhou Xianai's expression was bitter, but he didn't refute anything. Zhou Yangshan didn't know how to comfort him. At this time, da-da-da, footsteps sounded. Two beautiful figures appeared in front of the Zhou family. They were Linglong and Ling Yuru. The Zhou family was stunned when they saw the two women. Zhou Xianai's face flashed with a hint of surprise, and then turned into embarrassment. Linglong, you are here? At the beginning, Linglong came to the Zhou family to seek his care. In the end, he did not protect Linglong, and even almost let her be violated by Zhou Kingyan. Linglong smiled, and was about to speak. Suddenly, a burst of curses came. Linglong, Ling Yuru, you two dare to come to my Zhou family? If it weren't for you, our Zhou family would not be in this situation. You two disaster stars. What are you doing here? Get out. The other Zhou family members glared at them and cursed loudly. In their opinion, the Zhou family fell into such a situation because of Linglong. They didn't dare to get angry with Su Chen, but they dared to spray Linglong. After all, Linglong didn't even dare to speak loudly in front of the Zhou family members when she was in the Zhou family. However, this time, they made a wrong calculation. Linglong said coldly, Sister Ru. Slap her. The next second, Ling Yuru's figure flashed by. Snap, snap, snap. A loud slapping sound rang out. The Zhou family members who had just spoken wildly were stunned. And Linglong smiled. It feels different to have a backer. Cool. The third update is here. I will try to update 4 more. Let's go to bed first. Chapter 915 The Right Choice. The faces of the Zhou family members who had just spoken wildly were swollen. Ling Yuru dodged and stood with her hands down, as if she had done nothing. The Zhou family members who were beaten were furious. And Linglong, you actually attacked us? Asshole. You are a traitor. And Linglong just said lightly, let me remind you that I'm the person arranged by Su Chen to receive the assets of the Zhou family. In an instant, the Zhou family members who were so arrogant and clamoring to make an Linglong pay the price just now calmed down, as if they were poured with cold water. You. Everyone stared at An Linglong and Ling Yuru, but they didn't dare to say a single harsh word. Seeing these people's aggrieved appearance, An Linglong and Ling Yuru felt very happy. Before, when the two of them were living under the roof of the Zhou family, even though they were in charge of the Medicine King Valley and created huge benefits for the Zhou family, they were still bullied by these people. Now, they finally let out a sigh of relief. At this moment, even Ling Yuru, who didn't get along well with Su Chen, couldn't help but feel grateful to Su Chen in her heart. Among the Zhou family, Zhou Xianai was the most embarrassed. He had always been caught in the middle. Before, he protected An Linglong in front of the Zhou family. Now, he had to protect the Zhou family in front of An Linglong. Even if these people might not agree with him. Linglong, Yuru. Zhou Xianai pleaded. Seeing this, An Linglong no longer argued with the Zhou family. She looked at Zhou Xianai and said, Uncle Zhou, I thank you for taking care of me and Sister Ru. I can make a decision privately and let you keep 100 million for your future life. Su Chen let her deal with it as she pleased, and Linglong could make her own decision. Hearing this, Zhou Xianai was stunned. He said with some shame, Linglong, I didn't protect you, and you still treated me like this. And Linglong said in a deep voice, Uncle Zhou, you have tried your best. Zhou Xianai pursed his lips and nodded heavily, thank you. At this time, Zhou Wanqiu forced a smile and said, Linglong, since you can make the decision, can you leave more for our Zhou family? The other Zhou family members immediately agreed. Yes, leave more for us. There are so many of us. At least tens of billions. I think it's better not to kill them all. Leave us half of the Zhou family's assets. A sneer flashed in Linglong's eyes. Shut up. For a moment, everyone in the Zhou family quickly shrank their necks. And Linglong said coldly, do you think I'm very easy to talk to? Do you want me to call Su Chen back and let you discuss it with him? Immediately, everyone in the Zhou family shook their heads. And Linglong snorted coldly, I tell you, this 100 million is just a personal gift from me to my Uncle Zhou, and it has nothing to do with you. If anyone disagrees, stand up now, I will tell Su Chen for you. The whole hall was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. And Linglong and Ling Yuru glanced at the Zhou family members who were like whales, with disdain in their hearts. At this moment, the two were extremely fortunate to choose to follow Su Chen, otherwise how could they be so happy? Su Chen had already forgotten about the Zhou family's affairs. At this time, Su Chen had already set off for Heoju KTV. Soon, Su Chen arrived at the door of the KTV. Sun Zhaoxian and Tan Yangshan immediately came to greet him. Mr. Su, you are here. The two greeted Su Chen politely. Su Chen greeted him and exchanged a few words. Then he asked, are the two people I mentioned still in the KTV? Sun Zhaoxian smiled and said, Mr. Su, don't worry. After receiving your notice, Mr. Tan and I rushed here. We have been keeping an eye on their 2333 box. The people are still there. Su Chen nodded. In fact, he had already put a mental mark on Li Long. Now the mark is still in Heoju KTV. Su Chen said, okay. Take me over there to have a look. Hey. Sun Zhaoxian nodded and hurriedly led the way. At this moment, in box 2333, the lights flickered and the smell of alcohol filled the air. Loud music echoed in the room. However, the drinking princess in this box had been driven out long ago, leaving only Liu and Li Long. At this time, a person fell on the sofa without a sound. But it was not Li Long, but Liu. Liu, I trusted you so much. I didn't expect that you would still want to trick me. If I hadn't been prepared, I'm afraid I would have fallen into your trap. Li Long stood in front, looking at Liu Hu on the sofa with a sneer on his face. He muttered and gnashed his teeth in hatred. Originally, I was going to take you to Beijing, to make a fortune for the sake of brotherhood. But since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame Brother Long for not helping you. Can a treasure like deep sea electric eel gall be enjoyed by small people like us? Not to mention you, Liu Hu, Li Long, am not qualified. You don't know how high the sky is, and it's your own bad luck. If you anger the nobles above because of this, where can I go to cry? Deep sea electric eel gall, forget it. No one can get words out of me. Bah. Li Long spit at Liu Hu fiercely, and then turned and left. He opened the door, and raised his foot to leave. However, the next second, Li Long was stunned. Outside the box, a young man looked at him with a smile. Who are you? What do you want to do? A trace of nervousness flashed across Li Long's face. Su Chen smiled and said, let me introduce myself. My name is Su Chen. Excuse me, where is the deep sea electric eel gallbladder? Li Long's face changed instantly. The 4th update is here. Good night, everyone. Thank you for your support. Chapter 916 let you down. Li Long's face instantly turned pale. For a moment, countless thoughts flashed through his mind. Damn Liu Hu, he actually found a helper. Fortunately, I knocked Liu Hu down in advance, otherwise it would be even more difficult to fight two people at once. However, this Li Hu found such a young man. He underestimated me too much. Wait until I kill this young man and leave quickly. Li Long's mind was racing. He actually regarded Su Chen as Liu Hu's helper. Go to hell. Dragon stirring waves. Li Long shouted in a low voice. The next second, he formed a claw with 5 fingers and grabbed Su Chen fiercely. The 5 fingers carried a sharp wind, as powerful as lightning. However, Su Chen's face did not change, and he stood there calmly and freely. It was not that Su Chen was arrogant, but the gap between the realms of the two sides was too big. He was just a dark force martial artist. Not to mention dragon stirring waves. Even true dragon overturning the sea was just a scratch. With Su Chen's body at the Vajrahat level, even if he stood completely still, Brother Long would find it difficult to break through his defense. However, Li Long had no idea about all this. He saw that Su Chen did not dodge or evade, and he immediately sneered in his heart. Liu Hu called this young man here, but he turned out to be a fool, and now he is scared silly. Li Long seemed to have seen the scene of Su Chen being pierced through the chest and abdomen by him. Bang! The sharp 5 fingers hit Su Chen directly. The scene of Li Long's imagined intestines and stomach did not appear. On the contrary, he felt as if he was grabbing a steel plate. Bang! A recoil force came. Crack. Li Long was shocked and took a few steps back. His finger bones were directly broken. Ah! Li Long screamed. He held his hands full of blood and looked at Su Chen with horror. You are the master of Zhou Wanqiu? Li Long was horrified. After returning to the capital of Dongzhou province from Shangjing, he had always looked down on Dongzhou with a condescending attitude. As a result, there was such a young man who could easily injure himself. When did such a young martial arts genius appear in Dongzhou province? If Li Long knew that Su Chen had killed a mid-level god realm, he would probably be scared to the point of peeing his pants. Master Zhou Wanqiu. Su Chen smiled. Maybe. Can you tell me now? Where is the deep sea eel gallbladder? Li Long looked at Su Chen, who was determined to win, and immediately gave up the desire to resist. He gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice, in fact, I don't know where the deep sea eel gallbladder is. Su Chen smiled coldly. Do you want to try my method of forcing a confession? Hearing the chilling voice, Li Long shuddered immediately. He hurriedly explained, I really didn't lie to you. But, I know who knows. Su Chen said lightly, take me to find him. Okay. Li Long nodded without hesitation. He was just a dark force martial artist, and was not a match for Su Chen, the master Zhou Wanqiu. However, this did not mean that Li Long had no desire to resist. Since he was not Su Chen's opponent, he would find another expert to deal with him. This was Li Long's idea. After all, the information about the deep sea electric eel gallbladder was not something that a dark force martial artist like him could master. The reason why Li Long knew about it was because he heard a strong man mention it. In Li Long's opinion, as long as he led Su Chen to the strong man, no matter how powerful he was, he would have no choice but to die. Su Chen ignored Li Long's idea. Anyway, he was determined to win. Su Chen told Sun Zhaoxian to control Liu Hu, and then went out with Li Long. Soon, Li Long led Su Chen to a 5-star hotel. Outside the presidential suite on the top floor, Li Long bowed and said, "The person who knows the location of the deep sea eel gallbladder is inside." A cold light flashed in his eyes. As long as Su Chen met the strong man inside, he would definitely die. Su Chen smiled faintly. He knew Li Long's thoughts clearly. Moreover, under Su Chen's mental power, the strength of the strong man in the presidential suite could not be hidden from him. There was only one Yuan Qi master and a woman in the room. It seemed that this Yuan Qi martial artist was spending money to save the fallen soul. Dang. Su Chen went straight forward and knocked on the door. Soon, a irritable voice came from the door. "Who is it? I'm busy. Get out." Li Long's neck shrank. The most annoying thing for Master Zhaoxian was that others disturbed him when he was enjoying a woman. Li Long suddenly became a little worried. After Zhaoxian killed Su Chen later, would he teach him a lesson for this? Su Chen did not answer, but continued to knock on the door. Dang. Damn it. Are you looking for death? After a scolding, there was a rustling sound. Then, the door suddenly opened. A bald middle-aged man with an angry face appeared in front of Su Chen and Li Long. This person was Zhaoxian. "Who the hell are you? Are you looking for death?" Zhaoxian saw Li Long curled up beside him before he finished speaking. In the blink of an eye, he seemed to understand everything. Mountain-breaking palm. Zhaoxian attacked Su Chen without any hesitation. The violent vitality condensed on his palm, carrying the momentum of breaking mountains and peaks, and hit Su Chen's neck fiercely. Li Long's face was excited. However, the next second, Su Chen raised his leg with lightning speed. Bang! Zhaoxian was kicked in the chest before he touched Su Chen. Boom! Zhaoxian flew back to the room like a cannonball. Crash! He knocked over the table and rolled on the ground for several rounds before stopping. Su Chen turned his head and looked at Li Long with excitement on his face. "Sorry, I disappoint you." Li Long was stunned. First update. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 917. Going to Beijing to be with the Gu family. Li Long was trembling all over. He looked at Su Chen with horror. You are not a master of Zhou Wanqiu?" Even if he was slow to react, he had already realized that the young man in front of him was probably far beyond his imagination. "I never said that I was a master of Zhou Wanqiu." As soon as the voice fell, Su Chen walked directly into the room. At this moment, Li Long didn't even dare to think about running away. The Yuan Qi master Zhaoxian was kicked away. Even if he could run, how could he escape? The two walked into the room one after another. At this time, the Yuan Qi master Zhaoxian was struggling to get up. In the bedroom of the suite, the woman who Zhaoxian paid for special service came out to check when she heard the noise. "Ah!" The woman screamed in shock. Su Chen raised his hand and sent out a stream of energy, and the woman fainted on the ground instantly. Zhaoxian looked at Su Chen with a gloomy face. "Who are you?" "I, Zhaoxian, have no grudge against you, right? Why are you looking for me?" As he spoke, he looked at Li Long, hoping to get some hints. However, at this time, Li Long only dared to lower his head and dared not say anything. Su Chen said lightly, "I came to you just to ask about one thing." "What is it?" Zhaoxian frowned. Su Chen said lightly, "Where is the deep sea electric eel gallbladder?" Hearing this, Zhaoxian's eyes widened instantly. "Li Long." Zhaoxian gritted his teeth. At this moment, he already understood that it was Li Long who leaked the news. "I don't know," Zhaoxian said with a stern face. Su Chen's face darkened. "I'll let you know." As soon as the voice fell, Su Chen's figure flashed. In the blink of an eye, he came to Zhaoxian's side. Zhaoxian's face was terrified. He shouted angrily, gathered his arms, and raised them high. Open the mountain and break the mountain. The next second, Zhou Caishen's face flushed red, as if blood was about to drip. His whole body shrank quickly, only his arms, that were raised high, suddenly expanded. The terrifying vitality condensed outside his arms, and suddenly appeared in the shape of a giant axe, slashing down fiercely at Su Chen. Die. On the side, Li Long's face hung with a glimmer of hope. This move of splitting mountains and breaking peaks is Zhou Caishen's unique skill. Every time it is used, it stimulates the potential of the whole body to burst out with a blow. Even a strong man at the peak of the innate realm will be seriously injured. Boom. The violent axe of vitality chopped down fiercely. It seemed that it was going to split Su Chen in half. However, Su Chen just stretched out his hand slowly. A white palm gently reached out and firmly grasped the huge axe of vitality. The axe of vitality, which was comparable to the size of a water tank, was forcibly pinched by a palm. Li Long's eyes widened, and he couldn't believe what he saw. And Zhou Caishen was like a fool, stunned on the spot. This is a trick that can seriously injure the peak of the Xianshan realm. How can you do it with one hand? Zhou Caishen felt like he was dreaming. Su Chen said lightly, it's flashy. Too much vitality is wasted. As soon as the words fell, he gently exerted force with his palm. Crack. In an instant, the huge axe of vitality broke apart instantly. The violent power suddenly collapsed. Puff. Zhou Caishen spurted out a mouthful of blood and was blown away again. You, who are you? Zhou Caishen fell to the ground, his face full of horror. The backlash of the skills directly made him lose all resistance. Su Chen slowly said, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Su Chen. You are Su Chen? Zhou Caishen's face was full of despair. Su Chen raised his eyebrows. Do you know me? Zhou Caishen did not speak. He came to the provincial capital of Dongzhou from Shangjing because of Su Chen. Su Chen continued to ask, now, can you tell me why you know me? And where is the deep sea electric eel gall? I'll give you a suggestion. It's best not to force me to use means to force a confession. Zhou Caishen looked desperate. The moment he knew Su Chen's identity, he knew he was finished. Alas. Zhou Caishen's face was defeated. I know your name. Gu Xiantu, a powerful man in the Gu family, told me. I work for the Shangjing Gu family. This time, I came to Dongzhou province with Gu Xiantu to carry out a mission. The deep sea electric eel gall is also in his hands. Gu Xiantu? Shangjing Gu family? Su Chen frowned slightly. Didn't the dark god spirit god of the tiger god say that the deep sea electric eel gall was not in the hands of the Shangjing Liu family? Why now suddenly appeared a Shangjing Gu family? What is the relationship between the Shangjing Liu family and the Shangjing Gu family? Su Chen asked. Zhou Caishen shook his head. I don't know. But I feel that they should be closely related because sometimes we go on missions with the Liu family worshippers. Su Chen understood immediately. It seems that the Gu family and the Liu family in Shangjing are probably birds of a feather. Where is Gu Xiantu? Su Chen asked coldly. Zhou Caishen looked hesitant. Su Chen's face sank, and he raised his hand slightly. Zhou Caishen trembled instantly. I say, at number 1 Minghu Villa. Su Chen slowly put down his hand and said lightly, if you lie to me, you know the result. Zhou Caishen hurriedly shook his head. Mr. Su, I dare not. Su Chen raised his hand. Two strong winds slapped out. Bang, bang. Zhou Caishen and Li Long rolled their eyes and fainted directly on the ground. The two will not wake up within a few hours. Su Chen took out his mobile phone and called Qin Qingmei, asking her to send the tiger guards to take the three away to prevent the news from leaking out. As for Su Chen himself, he set off directly to number 1 Minghu Villa. The second update is here, and there is another update, which will be later. Chapter 918 Extremely Exquisite. Whoosh. The Zhuan character technique was activated. Su Chen's figure left a trail of ghostly after images and quickly rushed towards Minghu Villa. The news about the deep sea electric eel gall finally appeared in front of him. While rushing, Su Chen took out his mobile phone. He dialed Cheng Xiansun's number directly. Soon, the call was connected. Brother, why are you calling me suddenly? Cheng Xiansun asked curiously. Zhou Qi, do you know a family with the surname Gu? Su Chen asked straight to the point. The family with the surname Gu? Cheng Xianxin was stunned and said, brother, you are talking about the Gu family in Shangjing, right? Oh. Su Chen raised his eyebrows slightly and asked, there is actually a Gu family in Shangjing. How strong are they? Cheng Xianxin was silent for a moment. Brother, if you ask about other families, I can tell you everything. But this Gu family is very mysterious and low-key. I don't know much about it. Even our old man told me not to provoke the Gu family as much as possible. Oh, so that's the case. Su Chen nodded. Then there's nothing to worry about. As he spoke, Su Chen was about to hang up the phone directly. Since he couldn't get any relevant information about the Gu family, Su Chen had to give up. Besides, no matter what the Gu family was like, Su Chen had to get the deep sea electric eel gallbladder. Brother, you didn't break up with the Gu family, did you? Cheng Xianxin suddenly became a little alert and said, brother, if it's not a big grudge, I suggest you go to the Gu family to apologize. Hearing this, Su Chen was slightly shocked. Even Cheng Xianxin said this. It seems that the Shangjing Gu family is very special. Don't worry, not yet. Su Chen denied with a smile. However, he said in his heart, although there is no enemy now, I'm afraid that there will be an enemy soon. That's good. Hearing that Su Chen and the Gu family had no enemies, Cheng Xianxin couldn't help but feel relieved. It seems that he was also worried that Su Chen and the Gu family would break up. In fact, even a strong man like Cheng Xianxin knew very little about the Shangjing Gu family. In the memory of many people, the Gu family is extremely low-key, as if there is no sense of existence at all. But in Shangjing, most of the big families will tell their children not to make enemies with the Gu family, unless they have to. Because there was a newly rising family in Shangjing who looked at the Gu family and even deliberately provoked it. As a result, the emerging family was destroyed overnight. But the Gu family, as if nothing had happened, continued to keep a low profile. Since then, all the Shangjing families have begun to be very wary of the Shangjing Gu family. There were also families who tried to curry favor with the Gu family in Shangjing, but were also turned away. No one knows what secrets the Gu family has. But since the Gu family does not affect the interests of others, it is always right not to provoke them. In the end, most of the major families in Shangjing did not associate with the Gu family, and the Gu family rarely communicated with other forces. The Gu family was like this, as if they were separated from the secular world. The changes in the situation in Shangjing seemed to have nothing to do with the Gu family. Everyone was also accustomed to the Gu family's seclusion. Brother, if you can avoid offending the Gu family, try not to offend them. Cheng Xianxin reminded again. Su Chen said lightly, I know it in my mind. He did not pay attention to Cheng Xianxin's reminder. No matter what the Gu family is like, Su Chen must take action for the deep sea electric eel gall. Moreover, Su Chen had a vague feeling that the Gu family was an enemy rather than a friend. Soon, Su Chen rushed to Minghu Villa No. 1. This is a high-end villa area, facing the entire lake. Each villa covers a large area. They were also far apart from each other, and very private. The smell of money was everywhere. Su Chen's figure appeared in front of the gate of the villa. He stretched out his mental power. Soon, a figure with a majestic aura appeared in Su Chen's perception. It was a master of the divine realm. I think it should be Gu Xian too, the divine realm of the Gu family mentioned by Zhou Wanqiu. Who? A cold shout exploded instantly. Then, the majestic figure suddenly rushed out of the villa. A fierce punch smashed directly down. Su Chen's face did not change, and he raised his hand to catch it. Bang! The two fists collided. The violent vitality raged. Clang! The gate of the villa and the courtyard wall collapsed directly. The ground cracked instantly. Thump thump thump. Su Chen took 3 steps back, and the figure on the opposite side plowed a deep ditch on the ground. Su Chen raised his eyes and saw that the man opposite was in his early 30s. At this moment, he was looking at Su Chen with a shocked face. Gu Xian too, right? Su Chen asked coldly. Gu Xian frowned. Who are you? Hand over the deep sea electric eel gallbladder. Su Chen said coldly. Huh. Gu Xian was very surprised. How did you know it was in my hands? Hand it over, and I'll spare your life. Su Chen said lightly. Oh, what a big tone. Gu Xian's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Kill. Su Chen shouted softly. Then, he raised his hand and punched, actively attacking the opponent. However, Gu Xiantu is not weak either. After all, the opponent is a land immortal from Shangjing. Just now, he was repelled by Su Chen, and he just made a hasty move, and he didn't expect Su Chen to be so powerful. Bang, bang, bang. The two fought with lightning speed. The violent vitality was raging wildly. Su Chen frowned. After a few rounds of confrontation, Su Chen was surprised to find that the opponent's way was completely different from his own. No, it should be said, it's not just different from himself, but different from other God Realm warriors. If the martial arts of other God Realm masters are ordinary swords and spears, the opponent's fighting martial arts are already divine weapons. With the same vitality strength, Gu Xiantu's control of power is much stronger than other God Realm masters. This gave Su Chen an illusion. The opponent seemed to be a martial arts master who was over 100 years old, and his use of power was wonderful to the extreme. Even a knowledgeable person like Su Chen was quite shocked. You know, Su Chen's strength is not weak. He can even fight across realms, even in the middle stage of the God Realm. However, against Gu Xiantu, it was not a one-sided direct suppression. Gu Xiantu in front of him was obviously only in the early stage of the God Realm. However, his control and use of power was more exquisite than that of ordinary middle-stage God Realm masters. This discovery made Su Chen more curious about the Gu family. The third update is here. Good night, everyone. Thank you for your support. Chapter 919 Golden Armor General. Boom. 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 Su Chen and Gu Xiantu fought continuously. The vitality was shaken, and both sides were repelled at the same time. Both frowned and looked at each other. After several rounds of fighting, they were all a little surprised. The strength of the opponent exceeded their expectations. Su Chen felt that Gu Xiantu in front of him should be the strongest master of the early stage of the Divine Realm he had met. Even some mid-stage Divine Realm masters might not be the opponent of this guy in front of him. But the shock in Gu Xiantu's heart was even stronger. Even the Divine Realm masters in Shangjing, Gu Xiantu would mostly disdain them. However, in this small Dongzhou province, Su Chen did not let him take any advantage, and even suffered a little loss. Suddenly, Gu Xiantu's eyes lit up, as if he thought of something. Are you Su Chen? His eyes were fixed on Su Chen. Su Chen raised his eyes and sneered. Correct. But there is no reward. Gu Xiantu said in a deep voice. Before, they told me about your strength, but I didn't believe it. Now it seems that there is no false reputation under the reputation. Su Chen asked coldly, what is your relationship with the Liu family? Where is the deep sea electric eel gallbladder? Haha. Gu Xiantu smiled coldly, kneel down and ask me, I will tell you. Su Chen's face turned cold. Sure enough, the man in front of him is an enemy, not a friend. Su Chen's mind was racing. Although his vitality was not weak, he had not broken through. Although, with the 9 extremes power amplification, Su Chen had the confidence to deal with ordinary early stage God Realm strongmen. However, facing Gu Xiantu, who had extremely exquisite control of power, Su Chen found it difficult to suppress him. Therefore, Su Chen decided to use mental attack. After all, he was a real spiritual immortal master, and he also had spiritual secret skills in his hands. The evil spirit is coming. Su Chen shouted in a low voice, and the spirit in the sea of consciousness moved. In an instant, a magnificent mental force suddenly burst out. A shrill ghost howl sounded instantly, making people shudder. Spiritual master? Gu Xiantu raised his eyebrows, also a little surprised. However, as a powerful person in the divine realm of the Gu family, he was not afraid even when facing a spiritual master. Overlord Fist. Gu Xiantu shouted softly. Then, he raised his hand and punched out. In an instant, the terrifying fist intent gushed out, and condensed into a golden armored general. This golden armored general was 2 feet tall, wearing a golden helmet and golden armor, a robe and a belt, with a figure as tall as a gun, a strong and resolute expression, tiger eyes wide open, and all without anger. Just a glance at him made him feel inviolable. The next second, the golden armored general instantly rode his horse and attacked, and the terrifying wave blasted towards Su Chen. To be more precise, the target of this terrifying fist intent was the evil spirit that came to the world. The evil spirit that came to the world was not an ordinary wandering ghost, but a terrifying existence from the depths of the earth. Not to mention warriors who are not good at spiritual power. Even if they are spiritual masters, they need to be cautious when facing this move. But, at this moment, this Gu family's divine realm did not retreat or avoid, but chose to fight hard with fist intent. Su Chen is a spiritual master, and he is also good at fist intent. Naturally, he knows that fist intent has an effect on spiritual power. Even if he uses fist intent to deal with spiritual masters, Su Chen may not be completely sure. He doesn't know where the other party's confidence comes from. Su Chen has made plans. When the other party is shocked, he will immediately pursue the victory. However, the next second, Gu Xiantu's condensed fist intent general, carrying the magnificent king's energy, actually forcibly dispersed the evil spirit that came to the world. After a shrill cry, the evil spirit disappeared without a trace, as if it had never existed. And Gu Xiantu's fist intent also ran out of energy and slowly dissipated. Su Chen's eyes were shocked. The man in front of him really gave him too many surprises. On the opposite side, Gu Xiantu also slowly exhaled a turbid breath. The overlord fist just now was quite exhausting for him. Gu Xiantu stared. "You are quite powerful. Are you willing to submit to me?" He actually extended an olive branch to Su Chen. Even though he was from the Gu family, Su Chen's performance impressed him. Su Chen's eyes were slightly cold. He noticed that Gu Xiantu's address was a bit strange. "This king." The man in front of him actually called himself this king. "Submit to you?" Su Chen smiled contemptuously and said, "Then let me see if you have the strength to do so." "Don't worry, I will let you know my strength." Gu Xiantu looked calm and attacked again. Gu Xiantu raised his hand brazenly. A overlord fist blasted out. The terrifying fluctuations made the whole villa tremble. Su Chen's face was solemn. Divine Wolf Fist. He also blasted out a punch. The next second, the huge phantom of Yaodao Mountain suddenly appeared. Now, Su Chen's Divine Wolf Fist has entered the 5th level, and the reality is determined by the heart. Yaodao Mountain fist intention is displayed, and Su Chen can control it freely. Although the full manifestation has the greatest power, but the corner that has only been manifested now is not weak at all. Because what Su Chen's manifested is a side of the stone cliff of Yaodao Mountain. On the cliff, a knife mark is clearly visible. This is the splitting mountains and breaking seas knife intention of Beilang Xiang that was absorbed by Yaodao Mountain's fist intention during the battle of Kingsang Mountain. Boom. The divine fist blasted out. The swallowed knife intention also turned into a terrifying streak, ready to go. The virtual image of Yaodao Mountain and the virtual image of the Golden Armor General suddenly collided with each other. Boom. The virtual image of Yaodao Mountain actually shook slightly. It seems that they are evenly matched. However, the next moment, the splitting mountains and breaking seas knife intention flew out in an instant and quickly slashed at the Golden Armor General. Bang! The knife fell. The Golden Armor General's chest was broken, and the fist intention was completely shattered. Although the amazing knife intention was weakened, it continued to fly towards the enemy. Gu Xiantu's face changed. The first update is here. Chapter 920, Armor Tyrant. Facing the terrifying sword intent that continued to attack, Gu Xiantu's face changed. He frowned and shouted, "Armored Tyrant body." The next second, the surging yuan qi rushed out from Gu Xiantu. It instantly condensed around his body. Finally, it condensed into the shape of a suit of armor, wrapping Gu Xiantu in it. The terrifying sword intent, after shattering the tyrant fist intent, slammed into Gu Xiantu's yuan qi armor. Boom. Thump thump thump. Gu Xiantu was directly shocked back several steps. However, he was not injured much. Su Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. He had never seen yuan qi used in this way. "Boy, you are quite strong. If you are willing to submit to me, I'm willing to grant you the position of general," Gu Xiantu said. "The position of general?" Su Chen sneered. He didn't know what Gu Xiantu meant by the position of general. "That's right." Gu Xiantu tempted again. "If you are willing to submit to me, I promise you that you will be second to none, and above 10,000 people. In Dragon Country, all positions and fiefs are up to you to choose." Su Chen sneered in his heart. The man in front of him was simply not normal. Did he think That Dragon Country was his backyard. He could choose any position or fiefdom in Dragon Country. No need. Su Chen shook his head and said, "You'd better give me the deep sea electric eel gallbladder. Maybe I can spare your life." Arrogant. Seeing that Su Chen didn't give in, Gu Xiantu was furious. With his status, he had already given enough face to Su Chen by repeatedly trying to win him over. This kid in front of him was actually shameless. Refuse. Then go to hell. As soon as the voice fell, Gu Xiantu attacked brazenly. This time, it was the armor tyrant body again. The surging vitality condensed into a solid armor, wrapping Gu Xiantu in it. Boom. 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 Gu Xiantu rushed towards Su Chen like a mecha war god and punched hard. This punch, wrapped in the Zhou Wanqiu armor, the violent energy was even more fierce than before. Facing this terrifying fluctuation, even Su Chen couldn't help but look solemn. Fight. Su Chen shouted. The violent Zhengjin evil spirit condensed in an instant, smashed towards Gu Xiantu fiercely. Bang. Although Su Chen's Zhengjin evil spirit was of high quality, it could not cut through Gu Xiantu's armor. On the contrary, Gu Xiantu's punch directly destroyed Su Chen's Zhengjin evil spirit. Haha. You're looking for death. Gu Xiantu showed a disdainful sneer on his face. In his opinion, Su Chen dared to use such a simple move, which was suicide. However, the next second, Su Chen slowly opened his mouth. 3 waves. Boom. Boom. The second and third waves of Zhengjin evil spirits burst out instantly. Gu Xiantu's face changed wildly. Snap. The second wave of Zhengjin evil spirit directly cut and cracked Gu Xiantu's armor. The third wave of Zhengjin evil spirit directly hit Gu Xiantu. Bang. Gu Xiantu was like being hit by a high-speed car, and the whole person flew out suddenly. Boom. The wall of the villa was directly knocked down by Gu Xiantu. He flew backwards and rolled on the ground for several times before hitting the pillar and stopped. Su Chen nodded in his heart. This triple wave of Lian Shengsheng, when used suddenly, really worked. Su Chen flashed and entered the hole created by Gu Xiantu. At this time, the scene in the villa surprised Su Chen. There was no scene of furniture and appliances in the villa. However, it did not appear empty. Because this hall was like a hospital, with many beds placed. There were even many medical equipment next to it. Moreover, there were quite a few warriors here. What surprised Su Chen even more was the clothes of these warriors. Some were wearing white coats like doctors, while others were wearing blue clean clothes. There were even a few blonde foreigners among them. They seemed to be stunned by Gu Xiantu and Su Chen, who broke through the wall. Soon, they reacted and hurried forward to help Gu Xiantu up. The others in the villa knelt on one knee and called Prince. Su Chen was a little confused. It was hard for him to understand what was going on. What kind of prince was Gu Xiantu? And what were these people doing in the villa? Boy, you deserve to die. Gu Xiantu's face was hideous. With his status, he was beaten so badly by Su Chen. Kill. With a roar, Gu Xiantu attacked Su Chen again. Several warriors hurried to help. However, Su Chen's fighting power was comparable to that of a strong man in the god realm. Except for Gu Xiantu, the other warriors present were at most in the innate realm. Their attacks were just like tickling to Su Chen. And Su Chen killed 2 people with a casual blow. Gu Xiantu was furious. You guys retreat for now. Gu Xiantu looked back at the other warriors who were ready to make a move. We are willing to fight to the death for the prince. Everyone roared in unison. Seeing this scene, Su Chen's face was solemn. These guys are like a cult organization. What exactly are they doing? However, Su Chen couldn't think at this time. Gu Xiantu has attacked again. Su Chen can only deal with him with all his strength first. Bang, bang, bang. In the blink of an eye, Su Chen suppressed Gu Xiantu again. Although Gu Xiantu is extraordinary, Su Chen is even more perverted. Even, Su Chen can attack other strong men around him while dealing with Gu Xiantu. Although Su Chen didn't know what these people were doing. But it was obvious that it was definitely not a good thing. How many of these people can be killed? After thinking about this, Su Chen did not show mercy. Help. For a while, Gu Xiantu's men suffered heavy losses. You son of a bitch. You deserve to die. Gu Xiantu was so angry that his eyes turned red, but he could do nothing. However, Su Chen looked calm and even more excited. In the end, Gu Xiantu finally gave up. You retreat first. He gritted his teeth and entangled Su Chen, shouting to his men. The second update is here. The next update, about 20 minutes later. Chapter 921, draw a line on the ground to make a prison. Gu Xiantu's men were no longer loyal. Su Chen's fierce attack made them realize that the evil star in front of them really wanted to kill people. After getting Gu Xiantu's permission, whether they were Languo people or foreigners, they ran out frantically. Everyone was in a hurry and even overturned many beds in the hall. Suddenly, the things on the bed were revealed. Su Chen glanced over, and his heart was immediately filled with anger. On these beds, there were actually dissected corpses. And most of these dead were warriors in the Zhuanjin and Xianshan realms. In fact, some of them looked familiar to Su Chen. He seemed to have seen them in the Wumeng and several major families. These corpses are all warriors from Dongzhou province. The Gu family actually killed warriors from Dongzhou province. I don't know what research they are doing. You all deserve to die. Boom. The anger in Su Chen's heart suddenly erupted like a volcano. The next second, Su Chen directly left Gu Xiantu behind, and his figure was like lightning, chasing after the fleeing figures one by one. Then, he attacked brazenly. Ah. No. All of a sudden, Gu Xiantu's men screamed and fell to the ground. Arsehole. Gu Xiantu was furious. He quickly took out a formation plate. He held the formation plate in one hand and made hand gestures with the other. In an instant, the formation plate flew out. Rays of light enveloped Su Chen. Boy, stay here. Gu Xiantu's eyes were sharp, and the speed of making hand gestures was getting faster and faster. Buzz. Su Chen felt a strong formation fluctuation, flowing wildly. 8th level formation? Su Chen was shocked. He thought that Gu Xiantu was just being mysterious. But now the aura of this formation is actually close to that of an 8th level formation. Although it was driven by the formation plate, it was also amazing. Su Chen's own attainments in formations are not low. But if he were asked to directly arrange an 8th level formation, it would be extremely difficult and would require a lot of preparation. Draw a prison on the ground. Gu Xiantu shouted. Suddenly, the terrifying formation was formed in an instant, and Su Chen was trapped in the formation. The remaining few warriors who had not been killed fled out in a hurry. Damn it. Su Chen's face was a little ugly. He mobilized his vitality and attacked frantically. Boom. The formation shook violently. Su Chen's face was happy. This formation was only close to level 8, not yet at this level. Gu Xiantu was shocked when he saw this. Arsehole. He cursed inwardly. Then, Gu Xiantu raised his hand and slapped himself in the chest. Boom. Puff. He spit a mouthful of blood directly on the formation plate. Gu Xiantu directly detonated the formation plate. Boom. The terrifying momentum spread instantly, and the formation that was originally at the peak of level 7 instantly became a level 8 formation. Su Chen's face turned cold. He raised his hand again to attack the formation. This time, the formation only shook a ripple and then returned to normal. Su Chen frowned slightly. This is already an 8 level formation. If he was given time, he would have the confidence to slowly crack it. But now, the other party would not give him time. However, fortunately, this formation has no other attack effects except for trapping. Otherwise, Su Chen might really be caught off guard by this formation. Even so, Su Chen did not sit still and wait for death. He himself is a formation master, and his attainments in formation are extremely high. In the drawing the ground is a prison formation. Su Chen pinched his fingers with one hand, while using his mental power to detect the flaws of this formation. He now wanted to stop Gu Xiantu's men from evacuating. However, Su Chen found that this formation was completely different from what he knew. It would not be possible to break this formation in a short time. It's not that Su Chen's attainments in formation are not enough, but the idea of arranging the formation is completely different. If you want to break this formation, you must follow the opponent's idea. However, it is impossible for Su Chen to figure out the opponent's idea of arranging the formation in a short time. It's like a maze. It's difficult to get out without a map. Evacuate here first. Seeing that Su Chen also knows the formation, Gu Xiantu's face was also panicked. He made up his mind and left quickly. Because Gu Xiantu didn't know whether Su Chen would break out of the formation in the next second. Watching everyone leave, Su Chen was anxious. but he had no other choice. Gu Xiantu's formation was too difficult to deal with. After searching for a long time, Su Chen still had no clue. At this time, Gu Xiantu's men had all evacuated. Gu Xiantu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Su Chen deeply, as if he wanted to remember Su Chen in his heart. "I'll deal with you later." He said a harsh word and then left. Damn it. Su Chen hated in his heart. He was still careless and should have been prepared. However, Gu Xiantu fought hard and even blew up a formation disclosed to level 8, which was really unexpected. At this time, it was useless. Su Chen calmed down, thought for a long time, and finally found a way to crack the formation. Heaven moves vigorously, and a gentleman strives for self-improvement. The earth is in a low position, and a gentleman carries things with virtue. Su Chen whispered. He has discovered the beauty of this drawing the ground as a prison formation. This formation actually uses the power of the earth to trap the enemy. Even with Su Chen's attainments, he had to admire that the idea of this formation was indeed ingenious. Most formation masters use the environment around them to set up formations, but the formation in front of him uses the power of the earth. In simple terms, as long as they are still on the ground, there will be a constant supply of power to trap the enemy. However, since Su Chen has figured out the opponent's thinking, breaking the formation is not a problem. "Open the sky," Su Chen shouted. At the same time, he pinched his fingers with one hand and arranged a targeted formation. Su Chen's idea is very simple. Since there is no way for me to enter the earth, then I will open a way to the sky. Of course, the so-called opening the sky formation is actually just a 5th level formation that Su Chen came up with temporarily. To be honest, a 5th level formation naturally cannot break the 8th level formation. But Su Chen is not trying to break the formation. Now, he just needs to use this open heaven formation to open up a little space, and he can escape. Pop. The drawing the ground as prison arranged by Gu Xiantu was actually broken by Su Chen. Golden light on the ground. Su Chen did not hesitate at all. In an instant, a golden light flashed. Su Chen escaped from the prison formation with the golden light on the ground. The moment Su Chen left the formation, buzz, a ripple of the formation flashed. Su Chen's level 5 formation was instantly broken. Drawing the ground as prison returned to its original appearance, like a prison. Su Chen hurriedly checked the surroundings to check the documents and traces left by Gu Xiantu and others. Soon, in the lobby of the villa, Su Chen's face turned pale, and he uttered a curse. These bastards should be cut into pieces. The 3rd update is here. I will try to update for more tomorrow. Thank you for your support. Good night. Chapter 922. Surprising Discovery. Minghu Villa. Su Chen's face was livid. In his hand, he held some documents. Just now, when Gu Xiantu's men hastily evacuated, they directly killed the warrior who was still alive on the bed. Moreover, those people hastily deleted computer data and burned many documents. Fortunately, they evacuated in a panic after all, and eventually missed some paper documents. Su Chen picked up these documents and read them carefully. However, the more he read, the more frightened he became. In the end, he was even shocked. From these materials, he has roughly figured out what Gu Xiantu and his men are doing. These bastards are actually secretly capturing martial arts monks for experiments. And the bodies of these warriors on the bed are all strong men captured from Dangzhou province. These people are actually trying to transplant the danshan and meridians of these masters of Zhou Wanqiu and Yuan Qi, trying to achieve the perfect transplantation of Zhou Wanqiu and Yuan Qi by constantly using human lives for experiments. In addition to these, they are also experimenting with the transplantation of blood, bones and even organs of martial arts monks. What do these guys want to do? Could it be that in the eyes of these bastards, human lives are really so worthless? Scanning the documents one by one, Su Chen's face became more and more solemn, and his heart was even more turbulent. This base for studying martial artists is really cruel to the extreme. It can be said that these martial arts monks are not treated as human beings at all, but as experimental mice. Damn it. Su Chen's eyes were filled with murderous intent. What shocked Su Chen even more was that these people had already achieved some research results. Although the remaining information was only a few words and was not particularly complete, but Su Chen could also infer their research progress through clues. These guys have even used medical transformation and technological means to stimulate and initially achieve rapid development of low-level warriors. Su Chen frowned. You know, the reason why warriors are powerful is because of years of hard practice. Ordinary people slowly grow into bright force warriors, dark force martial artists, and mysterious force masters through step-by-step practice. But according to the few words Su Chen saw, all this seems to have been overturned. Those researchers just now included martial arts monks, ordinary medical workers, and scientific research experts. They even came from different countries. But the ultimate goal is to study the warriors of Dragon Country. Moreover, they have also achieved certain results in the field of low-level martial arts monks. This seems insignificant. After all, bright force warriors and dark force martial artists are no different from ants to Su Chen. However, if they can really achieve rapid development in large quantities, the result may be completely different. What will happen to 100,000 dark force martial artists? Thinking of this possibility, even Su Chen felt a little scalp numb. This is a large army of dark force martial artists. Although, according to the manuscript in Su Chen's hand, the cost and price of mass-producing low-level martial arts practitioners are very high. However, this is already worrying enough. Su Chen's eyes swept over the little white mice who had died on the hospital bed. Most of them were masters of Zhou Wanqiu. Obviously, these people have already started research on masters of Zhou Wanqiu. Perhaps, their next plan is to study the mass production of masters of Zhou Wanqiu. Hiss. Su Chen couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. No wonder Gu Xiantu was so furious when he saw him kill these scientific researchers. These people are all Gu Xiantu's treasures. Mingjin warriors, and Jin martial artists, Zhou Wanqiu masters. If they continue, they will be masters of Yuan Qi. In the end, they may directly use the strong men in the god realm for experiments. Thinking of this, even if Su Chen's mentality was stable, he couldn't hold it back at this time. If we can really realize the mass production of immortals on land, what a terrifying force it will be. At that time, even if all the warriors in the world are added together, I'm afraid they will not be their opponents. What is the purpose of this Gu Xiantu, or this Gu family? Su Chen's face was uncertain. He could even foresee such a scene. A team of gods went out and ran rampant in this world, killing gods and buddhas. Don't think about it. Su Chen shook his head. No matter what the other party's purpose is, this matter must be reported. This is also my responsibility as the consultant of the Tiger Guard. As for the official plan in the end, it has nothing to do with me. Su Chen made up his mind. Then, he collected the few remaining documents and materials. After that, Su Chen's mental power probed out and swept through the villa. He wanted to see if he could find any new gains. Hey, this is... Suddenly, Su Chen made an unexpected discovery. There was actually a place in this Minghu villa that could isolate his mental power detection. Su Chen's figure flashed and quickly walked to a wall. This is actually a secret door. Su Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. This secret door, made of neither gold nor wood, was actually stronger than the previous door. Bang, bang, bang. Su Chen knocked a few times. There was no movement inside the door. However, Su Chen could clearly feel the hollow sound of knocking on the door. Bang. Su Chen raised his hand and punched down. Boom. Many spider web-like cracks suddenly appeared on the surrounding walls. But this door, which was neither gold nor wood, remained motionless. 9 extremes. Su Chen did not believe in evil, and his vitality increased wildly, and the power of his divine body also surged. The two merged into one. He punched down again. Bang. The door exploded instantly. Su Chen stepped in. The first update is here. Chapter 923 Mengdikyu appears. Inside the secret door. The space is not big. Su Chen took a glance and saw everything. The space inside is limited, but it is full. There are machines, torture instruments, and experimental tables. Su Chen even found a dying martial arts monk. Su Chen hurried forward and helped the martial arts monk up. This person was covered in blood and his body was cut open in many places. It seemed that he was also used as a guinea pig by those people for some experiments. This person's face was full of martial arts, and his messy hair also covered his appearance. However, when this person raised his head, Su Chen recognized him instantly. Why is it you? Su Chen's pupils shrank, and he shouted out a sentence. The martial arts monk in front of him, Su Chen, was too familiar. Even so familiar that Su Chen couldn't believe it was him. Meng Diqiu. Old Meng. Recently, Meng Diqiu has been staying by Su Chen's side and even protecting Zhou Wanqiu personally. As a result, now, he has fallen on the experimental table in this dark room, and his life or death is unknown. Even though Su Chen was strong-willed, he didn't know what to say at this moment. Meng Diqiu was still alive. However, his breath was extremely weak. It could even be said that he would die if he was not careful. Meng Lao. Su Chen shouted softly, trying to wake Meng Diqiu up. The moment he saw Meng Diqiu, Su Chen had already had some guesses in his mind and figured out many things. No matter what Meng Diqiu had done, Su Chen had to save him first. Zhou Wanqiu disappeared with Meng Diqiu. Now, Zhou Wanqiu's whereabouts are unknown. Meng Diqiu might have some clues. Su Chen shouted several times in succession. Meng Diqiu seemed to hear the call. His eyelids moved slightly, but he still didn't open his eyes. Medical Saint Golden Needle, go. Su Chen shouted in his heart. Suddenly, a golden light went straight to the acupuncture points all over Meng Diqiu's body. Meng Diqiu didn't know what kind of inhuman torture and experiment he had suffered, and the whole person had completely collapsed. It can even be said that he was exhausted and weak. Even though he was a powerful god, he couldn't live for too long. As the medical saint's golden needle fell, Su Chen frantically urged the longevity energy to repair Meng Diqiu's injuries and restore his vitality. However, Meng Diqiu's injuries were different from ordinary injuries. The vitality in his body had been completely cut off. Even if Su Chen had the longevity energy, he could only prolong his life temporarily and couldn't really cure him. The best case for Meng Diqiu was probably that he would have a last burst of life for a while and then completely fall. Southern Dipper Array. Su Chen whispered in his heart. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The medical saint's golden needle fell again. It actually arranged a life-extending array. In ancient legends, the Northern Dipper was responsible for death, and the Southern Dipper was responsible for life. And the reason why people die is because the 9 orifices are blocked. Su Chen's Southern Dipper array is to open up 6 orifices. Adding another 3 auxiliary needles, the 9 orifices can prolong life. As the Southern Dipper needle array took shape, Meng Diqiu's condition improved slightly. At least, he is no longer a candle in the wind, with his life hanging by a thread. Even so, Meng Diqiu will not live long. Looking closely, Meng Diqiu's lips have completely lost their color, and a faint deathly aura appears on his face. He has already run out of energy, and is obviously on the verge of death. If someone else comes, they will be absolutely helpless in a situation like Meng Diqiu. But Su Chen's medical skills can find a glimmer of hope in death. 18 Hands of the Ghost Gate. Stop people in front of the King of Hell. After the acupuncture was completed, Su Chen did not hesitate at all, quickly formed seals with both hands, and then fell hard. Boom. A punch fell. Meng Diqiu's heartbeat, which seemed to have completely stopped, gradually produced extremely small fluctuations. Who? Meng Diqiu opened his mouth slightly and exhaled a long breath. The next second, his eyelashes flickered, and he slowly opened his eyes. Mr. Meng. Su Chen's voice was very soft. It seemed that he was worried that the voice was too loud and would extinguish the fire of Meng Diqiu's life. Su, Mr. Su. The moment he saw Su Chen, Meng Diqiu's pupils shrank slightly. His eyes seemed to be evasive. Mr. Meng, where is Wanqiu? Su Chen suppressed his emotions, patiently tried not to irritate Meng Diqiu. Mr. Su, Meng Diqiu was speechless. At this moment, he was overwhelmed with emotions and seemed to have countless words to say. But facing Su Chen, his words were stuck in his throat, and he didn't know how to say it. More importantly, he didn't have the face to say it. Mr. Meng, what on earth did you encounter, and why are you here? Su Chen tried to keep his tone calm. It's not that Su Chen didn't doubt Meng Diqiu, but Meng Diqiu's situation at this time could not stand the stimulation. Hearing Su Chen's question, Meng Diqiu subconsciously fell into memories. In a moment, his eyes were full of fear. Seeing this scene, Su Chen's mood became more complicated. A powerful man in the god realm was actually scared like this. What happened to him? Generally speaking, the will of the powerful men in the god realm is strong enough. Even if they face a big difficulty, they can get through it. But at this time, Meng Dqiu seemed to be scared out of his wits. It seemed that the torture he suffered was beyond his tolerance. Mr. Meng, tell me, what exactly did you encounter? Su Chen was a little anxious. After all, Meng Dqiu's life breath was extremely weak. It can be said that he will not live long. If he can't get some information from Meng Dqiu, it will be more difficult for him to continue to track him down. Although Su Chen used tortoise shell divination before, Zhou Wanqiu was not in any danger in the short term, but would live well. But Zhou Wanqiu fell into the hands of others after all, and Su Chen must be anxious. Mr. Su, Meng Dqiu's face was full of shame, and he didn't dare to look Su Chen in the eye. Mr. Meng, do you think I still don't know anything now? Su Chen's face darkened. Meng Dqiu lowered his head. Mr. Su, I deserve to die. His eyes were complicated, and he seemed to be in a struggle between heaven and man. Mr. Meng, Zhou Wanqiu's disappearance is related to you. Su Chen sighed softly. This is the possibility he is most reluctant to face. Su Chen seemed to be asking, but his tone was very firm. It gives people a feeling that he has already obtained evidence and knows the truth. Sure enough, hearing Su Chen's words, Meng Dqiu's face rose. The second update is here. The next update will be in about 20 minutes. Everyone wait. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 924, Harming Others and Yourself. Meng Dqiu's eyes became more evasive. He knew better than anyone what he had done. They had contacted you before the Battle of Kingsang Mountain, right? Su Chen spoke again, breaking through Meng Dqiu's psychological defenses. This was not Su Chen's nonsense. But the result of the Battle of Kingsang Mountain was indeed a little strange. Several top masters suffered heavy losses. On the contrary, Meng Dqiu, who was in the weak divine realm, was fine. This was a little wrong. In the Battle of Kingsang Mountain, Zhang Longhu, who was in the middle stage of the divine realm, lost his arm. Li Changfeng, who was in the late stage of the divine realm, fell down. Cheng Xianxin of the Cheng family in Changjing destroyed a Feng Shui magic weapon. Zhang Taian, the contemporary Xianqi of Zhou Wanqiu mansion in Xianqi Mountain, was also seriously injured. As for Su Chen himself, let alone, in order to win a glimmer of life, he even used the secret method that his grandfather had repeatedly told him to enter the unity of heaven and man. Su Chen almost died because of this. However, there was an exception in Su Chen's camp, and that was Meng Dqiu. In that battle, Meng Dqiu was not as timid as before, but fought vigorously. But in the end, he was the least injured. At that time, Su Chen did not think much, but just thought that this old guy was a little slick, so he had great ability to save his life. But now thinking about it, Su Chen found that something was wrong. With Meng Dqiu's strength, he was at the bottom among the crowd. Even if he was slick, it was unlikely that he could save himself in such a melee. This should be doubted. Did they promise you benefits? Su Chen spoke again. Seeing Meng Dqiu's eyes flickering, Su Chen blurted out again. It's a water attributed treasure. Deep sea electric eel gall, right? Boom. One sentence completely defeated Meng Dqiu's psychological defense. Mr. Su, how did you know? At this moment, Meng Dqiu could no longer hold back, and his eyes were full of deep horror. He didn't expect that Su Chen already knew so much. Then there was no point in him hiding it anymore. Meng Dqiu lowered his head suddenly. Mr. Meng, you are confused. Su Chen's face changed, and he couldn't help but sigh. To be honest, Su Chen did have a bad impression of Meng Dqiu all along. However, Su Chen had never treated Meng Dqiu badly. If Su Chen hadn't taken action, Meng Dqiu would have been reduced to ashes. Mr. Su, Meng Dqiu's face was full of bitterness. Harming others will eventually harm yourself. He thought that God would not know, but ended up like this. Mr. Meng, I can't save you. Su Chen looked at him with a trace of pity in his eyes. Mr. Su, Meng Diqiu was speechless. At this moment, he really regretted it. Your meridians and anshan have been cut. Even the blood in your body has been drained. You are already exhausted. Even if Huatuo is alive, he can't do anything. Su Chen said. Meng Diqiu was silent again. In fact, he already knew about his situation. As a warrior in the god realm, he knew his body very well. In particular, he had been seriously injured and poisoned for such a long time. Long illness makes a good doctor. He naturally knew that he didn't have much time left. If you want revenge, you'd better tell me everything. Su Chen sighed softly. Now, it's useless to talk to Meng Diqiu about big principles. It depends on whether he is willing to die like this. If he is not willing, he can only confess. Su Chen is not without torture, but Meng Diqiu can't hold on. His condition is too bad. Even Su Chen's medical methods can't make him recover. If Su Chen uses torture to force a confession, I'm afraid Meng Diqiu will die instantly. A line of clear tears fell from Meng Diqiu's eyes. Mr. Su, I'm not willing, I'll say it. Finally, Meng Diqiu looked at Su Chen again. Okay. Su Chen nodded slightly. He was not excited, and his eyes were extremely calm. As you said, I do have a deal with them. Meng Diqiu told the secret directly. Su Chen just nodded slightly. This was already in his expectation, and he didn't feel it was a surprise. Meng Diqiu took a long breath and said slowly, before the battle at Kingsang Mountain, the Liu family's strong men came to me, and they promised to give me a treasure with a certain attribute. Su Chen nodded again. This was very consistent with the information he had obtained. Even the name of the treasure was ready to come out. Meng Diqiu said, at the beginning, I only knew that it was a treasure with water attributes. But I didn't know exactly what it was. Su Chen sighed lightly. The Liu family has two treasures with water attributes, one of which is the deep sea electric eel gallbladder. Yes. Meng Diqiu's face was full of bitterness. Later, I found out that what they gave me was a defective deep sea electric eel gallbladder. Mr. Su, I said I didn't want to betray. Do you believe it? Meng Diqiu looked up with confusion in his eyes. Yeah. Su Chen nodded lightly. He didn't know why Meng Diqiu said that. But now, Meng Diqiu can't be provoked. Su Chen can only cooperate first. Thank you. Seeing Su Chen nod, Meng Diqiu's face finally looked a little better than before. Meng Diqiu continued, they first approached me to cooperate with them in the battle of Kingsang Mountain and turn against you. But I didn't agree. Su Chen nodded slightly. In the battle of Kingsang Mountain, although Meng Diqiu didn't help much, he did not make trouble. After all, in such a melee, if Meng Diqiu chose to turn against you, the consequences would be difficult to predict. The Liu family's strong camp is already extremely powerful. Not to mention, there are Siamese masters, the four major families in Jiangnan province, Bei family, Ran family, Zhou family and other masters behind. It can be said that, although Meng Diqiu is not strong, he has the ability to influence that battle. I don't want to, and I don't want to. Meng Diqiu shook his head and whispered, Mr. Su, I really don't want to betray. Su Chen didn't speak, but looked at Meng Diqiu quietly. Meng Diqiu's face was full of pain. In fact, since Su Chen met the Cheng family, Meng Diqiu has never thought of betraying. At the beginning, Meng Diqiu just wanted to hug Su Chen's thigh. And Su Chen, he also understood Meng Diqiu's thoughts. At that time, Su Chen's idea was to use Meng Diqiu, a powerful god-level warrior, for the time being, and when he had enough powerful warriors in the future, he would deal with him coldly. However, Su Chen did not expect that. Meng Diqiu would not live to see that day. The third update is here. I failed to update 4 times today, so I will update 3 times first. Sorry. Thank you for your support. I will try to write it early tomorrow. Chapter 925, failed to steal a chicken. But in the end, you still surrendered to the other side. Su Chen stared at Meng Diqiu. Meng Diqiu's face was gloomy. Mr. Su, I didn't want to do this either. But I had to betray. Meng Diqiu's face was full of pain. What did they do to make you change your mind? Su Chen asked. Meng Diqiu was stunned. Then, he seemed to think of some horrible memories, and his eyes were full of deep fear. Mr. Su, do you know what they are doing in this villa? Meng Diqiu asked instead of answering. Su Chen said lightly. It seems to be some experiments, using medical and technological means, to try to mass produce low-level martial arts monks, or even high-level martial arts monks. In addition, there are some transplants of meridians, organs, and blood vessels. In addition to these, there may be other experiments, but the data has been destroyed by those people. These things were all seen by Su Chen from the remaining data. Hearing this, Meng Diqiu shook his head in pain and said, "This is not an experiment, this is hell." To those who are not involved, these contents seem to be just experiments, but to the martial arts practitioners who were captured, this is a real hell. Su Chen was shocked. His eyes swept over Meng Diqiu's bloody body. It was obvious that Meng Diqiu was also subjected to inhuman torture as an experimental subject. Meng Diqiu's eyes flickered. "Mr. Su, here, I have personally seen a Zhou Wanqiu cultivator wailing in pain after his meridians and Anshan were dug out. I have also seen a Anshan realm strongman who cultivated the Yin god, whose body was crippled by them, leaving only a Yin god, to be tortured in various ways. I have even seen a Shinran realm strongman whose bones were pulled out and turned into a pool of meat. Even so, the strong man's body was used by them as a tool to test the strength of weapons. They even forced these experimental subjects to stay awake to facilitate their records." Speaking of the latter, Meng Diqiu was almost unable to continue. His eyes were panicked, as if he was about to collapse. When Su Chen heard these words, he couldn't help but feel his hair stand on end. A burst of anger and murderous intent burned in his chest and rushed straight to the top of his head. Who? Meng Diqiu took a few deep breaths before he came to his senses. "I saw all this with my own eyes. They want me to cooperate, otherwise, I will become one of them." Hearing this, Su Chen was silent. This kind of terrifying coercion is indeed scary, not to mention Meng Diqiu, who has always been afraid of death. Even if it were a tougher person, it would be difficult to resist the fear spreading deep in his heart. At this time, Su Chen didn't know how to comfort Meng Diqiu. "I was really scared, so I pretended to be nice to them. But in the end, even if I agreed to cooperate with them, they still attacked me. They are not human, they are demons." Meng Diqiu was a little hysterical. Su Chen stared at Meng Diqiu and asked, "Why didn't you tell me in advance?" Meng Diqiu smiled bitterly. "Mr. Su, I know very well what impression I have on you. Not only you, Zhang Longhu, Cheng Xianzhen and others also look down on me. I also know that these are all caused by my previous actions. I have brought this upon myself. But I sincerely repent and want to reform and follow you to the end. I don't want to be marginalized slowly after you have more powerful men under you. I want to improve my position in your heart. The method I thought of is to improve my own strength." Su Chen's heart moved. He suddenly understood why Meng Diqiu wanted to get the deep sea electric eel gall. Sure enough, Meng Diqiu continued, "Finally, they came to me for a deal, saying that they would let me use Mr. Zhao to make conditions. In order to improve my strength, I made a request for a water-attributed treasure. Mr. Su, I swear, I really didn't want to hand Mr. Zhao over to them. I just wanted to cheat a water-attributed treasure from them. I thought, as long as I get the treasure, I will tell you about it. In this way, I will get a treasure that can improve my strength for free. As a result, they cheated me. They only gave me a defective water-attributed treasure, then attacked me, and then found Mr. Zhao. I deserve to die. If I wasn't greedy, none of this would have happened. I wouldn't have been taken to this hellhole, cut, experimented, and tortured into my current half-human half-ghost appearance." Tears flowed from Meng Diqiu's eyes. Su Chen was angry, but helpless. This Meng Diqiu was simply stealing a chicken and losing the rice. He wanted to trick others, but ended up being played around by them. In the end, even he got himself involved. Su Chen sighed in his heart, but he didn't know how to scold Meng Diqiu. After all, he was already miserable at this moment. Meng Diqiu's meridians and Anshan were all drained away. A martial arts practitioner in such a state is already a tree without roots and water without a source. Even most of the blood and bones in his body have been taken out. In such a situation, even if Su Chen's medical skills are superb, he can't save him, because the foundation of his life has been completely shattered. Now, the reason why Meng Diqiu is still alive is only because Su Chen's medical skills are against the sky. Moreover, there is a huge amount of longevity energy, which is madly extending his life. I deserve to die. Meng Deqiu murmured with tears on his face. The pain and regret almost swallowed him up completely. The first update is here. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.